at Scott Stadium, home of the '98 SEC Western champion Mississippi State Bulldogs. It's the 93rd meeting all time as they host LSU. Hi, everybody. Welcome to college football here on ESPN2. Steve Levy along with Todd Christensen. Thoughts from Holly Rowe in just a bit. Mississippi State has never been 7-0, and they've never been 4-0 in conference play. Last year, they were 3-0 in the SEC, and LSU lit them up 41-7. No way the Tigers scored 41 against that D tonight.
Remember the 72 Dolphin defense? The year they were undefeated, they were referred to as the no-names. That's certainly applicable to this group at Mississippi State. Joe Lee Dunn has done an outstanding job of meshing the talents of these young men to do what they have done, and you can see the numbers there. They're absolutely staggering. The big issue, of course, Steve, something we'll get into a little bit later on, is the level of competition. But hey, you play who's on the schedule right now. Mississippi State 6-0, number 11 in the country.
LSU on the schedule for them today. Their head coach Jerry DiNardo under fire this week. Some speculation as to his job security. He said he's in a no-win situation. The same guys that want to run him out of town for not playing Josh Booty, the quarterback, are the same guys that now want to run him out for staying with the kid.
And it's strange because 5 years ago, he was arguably the most recruited quarterback coming out of college, and that includes Peyton Manning, a tremendous athlete who had a 5-year career with the Florida Marlins in baseball. He has certainly been struggling, leading the league in interceptions. But don't forget this, Steve. Jackie Sherrill, 1-10 against LSU in his coaching career. That could be something going for the Bengal Tigers this evening.
Better than 40,000 on hand. It's homecoming weekend here in Starkville, Mississippi. And they're ready to kick it off right after this. Thank you, LSU. They go up against Mississippi State. This is the third time in the last 4 games they'll play an opponent who is ranked in the top 15. The Bulldogs at number 11. We check in sideline with Holly Rowe.
Thanks, Steve. You said that Jerry DiNardo has been in battle this week. And Tuesday, the speculation was swirling around his weekly press conference that he would either announce his resignation or his firing would be announced. Neither happened. In fact, he came out with a rather strong statement saying, "I'm not going to politic for a job I have and do dumb things to lose a job I've already got." So he is making a statement with that. But he said the low point in his week came Tuesday at that press conference, and then again Thursday at 2 p.m. when he had to announce to the team that SEC cornerback Mark Roman would be suspended indefinitely because of improper contact with an agent. An already thin team just got thinner, only 59 players traveling, but he said this is an area of no tolerance for his team. Steve?
All right, Holly, thanks very much. DiNardo in his 9th year as head coach, 5th at LSU, and there is Jackie Sherrill, number 8 in active wins with 160. He trails Virginia's George Welsh by 20 coming into action today.
Big number there, though, Steve, as we pointed out, 1-10 against LSU, and I thought it interesting when we posed that question to him yesterday. His body language seemed to indicate that that was indeed a problem.
LSU won the toss. They have deferred, and they will kick off, and we'll see the Bulldogs on offense first. Danny Boyd kicks it away and is caught in the end zone by Larry Huntington. And Mississippi State will go to offense 1st and 10 from their own 20. Justin Griffith, he could be the tailback, but he's the fullback instead. He's the squad's leading receiver and touchdown maker. Wayne Matkin, the quarterback, he'll be looking to get the ball into the hands of, among others, Kelvin Love. He's the team leader in total offensive yards, and we probably would have highlighted the guy just to say his name. But as it turns out, Pork Chop Womack is the best of a massive bunch up front. 1st and 10. Ball spotted at their own 20-yard line. Chris Laney and Griffith behind the quarterback, Wayne Matkin. And they line up out of the eye. And they give the quick hitter to the fullback, Justin Griffith. Ryan Clark, the free safety, on the stop. As far as LSU up front, Kareem Mitchell starts for injured start Jarvis Green. Mitchell's strength is playing the run. The backers, Charles Smith, he's the emotional leader of this defense and really the key to keeping this group's spirits and morale high. And Robert Davis in the secondary, he replaces the suspended star Mark Roman that Holly mentioned at the left corner position. On 2nd and 1 from the 29, off the quick hitter from the fullback, they send a man in motion, and they look to screen it out. Again, it's Griffith, and he's got the 1st down and more.
Justin Griffith is not just another fullback, Steve. In fact, if they had another fullback of his caliber, he would probably be at tailback. The 5'11", 225-pounder. Those 18 receptions. Look at this is the impressive stat right there. Backs can come out of the backfield, catch the ball, but when you're averaging nearly 13 yards per catch, you are really doing something. You've got the yak working for you, Holmes.
Pickman 9 yards on the play there. It gives them another first down, this time at the 38. And again out of the eye. Handoff up the middle, and that's been working for him. And that time it's Chris Rainey, the tailback. Charles Smith on the stop.
You talked about Pork Chop Womack as he just got into your screen right there. He is a big body. As you see the offsides, I'm thinking that, well, they'll probably keep the first down. This offensive line averages 322 pounds per man, and a lot of teams have 300-pound guys, but these people are inclined to move the pile, and they start to wear on you in the third and fourth quarter. It's one thing to be 300 pounds, it's another thing to be athletic, Steve. Anybody can...
Still a first down. Here's Holly again.
Hey, guys, Wayne Madkin is playing with a broken extender tendon in the top of his finger. The team doctor that did surgery, Rusty Linton, put a football in his finger the day before surgery and then kept his finger at the same angle. His finger is bent like this. There is a pin going through his finger at a straight angle to keep his finger permanently bent so he can grip and hold and throw a football.
Nearly a sack behind the line of scrimmage. Madkin able to run out of trouble and get some yardage. Holly showing off a fine manicure herself there.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that that's necessarily Wayne Madkin's color. Nonetheless, he shows his escapability there, and that is his strong suit. You noticed right there as you saw his right hand. Take a look. There's nothing on it. It's not taped up. I think that's very impressive. Remember about 30 years ago, you know, I am third, 𝐒𝐿 with the knee injury, never put any tape on it. That's Madkin. He doesn't want to be distracted by it. He doesn't want to be thinking about it, but of course, that doesn't affect his legs at all.
So a 5-yard pickup on the play. Brings up a 2nd and 2 from the 47 following the penalty. Man in motion, out of the eye, and they give it to him. It's Chris Rainey on the carry again.
Those of you that are used to watching the sort of exciting Southeast Conference football, i.e. Florida and Alabama with balls in the air, don't hold your breath for that here. Jackie Sherrill is somebody that has won with defense and a kicking game. His team right now, Steve, reminds me a little bit kind of a Virginia Tech junior. You know, not quite to that level, but playing the same kind of football, mistake-free for the most part.
So no fun and gun here today.
Not today.
On 1st and 10, ball spotted at midfield. Off the play action. Madkin to throw. He's going up top, and he's got a man. Had to come back to the football, and it was knocked away. He was looking for Kelvin Love. Robert Davis on the coverage.
Robert Davis did a great job because Love, with his big body, was in the way. He had to slow down a little bit. Davis does an excellent job of getting in the way and not having interference. Free safety, Bakich is poised. This is look, body's in the way. Look at that. He gets in front, able to put the arm in. Good job by the back judge, not calling interference. Davis with an excellent play. Now, Mississippi State going up top, that's very rare for them. You can see right here by their offensive rank in the SEC. They're not exactly what you call an offensive juggernaut, but at 6-0, you don't have to apologize for anything.
And they do spread it around. Coach Sherrill said it really doesn't matter who carries the football for us. They've got a lot of guys who have been effective. Rainey, Walker, Miller, Griffith. And this time it is Chris Rainey, the senior. Ryan Clark put the stop on of the free safety.
This is what LSU wants to do. Put them in 3rd and long. Force Madkin to make a play. You mentioned the fact that they spread the ball around. They don't have a rusher over 300 yards, Steve. I mean, it's not like they have dominant people. They just move people in and out. And Jerry DiNardo, defense playing aggressively here at midfield, forcing a 3rd and 10.
That's what DiNardo said. For us to get a win, we got to play lights-out defense, and the offense has to take advantage of turnovers and field position. We'll see if they can get a stop for their offense here. This is a 3rd and 10 play. They're playing the ball spotted at midfield. Miller in the lineup at tailback. But they're going to pass under pressure as Madkin tries to step up, ran into his own man, and then runs into a couple of Tigers, and he is stopped down at the 46-yard line. Muskingum Barnes, the first hit on him.
Lou Tepper took a lot of grief last year for what many construe to be a very ultra-conservative defense. But what can you do when you have the number of people that are hurt? And coming into this game, Steve, arguably their 2 best players, Jarvis Green and Mark Roman, are not playing. Good stand for them at midfield. Excellent pass rush by the Bengal Tigers up the middle.
Jeff Walker will punt it away. Walker, the consensus preseason all-SEC punter. He gets it away, and that one won't win him any awards. And Mississippi State, however, will down it. Ball at the 27-yard line, and Walker is down on the play. It's a 24-yard punt. We'll check on the status of the punter when we come back to Starkville. There's the punter, Jeff Walker, on the sideline. Hyperextended knee is what they're saying. We'll try to give you another look at what just happened on his 24-yard punt. As LSU on first down, they give it to Rondell Mealy, and Barron Simpson put the stop on him. Mealy is trying to give the Tigers a running game on offense, take some of the pressure off the quarterback, Josh Booty. Mealy from Destrehan, Louisiana. The freshman Jarrell Myers, they call him the most pleasant surprise at LSU, and it's not even close. And it's the 5th SEC game for LSU, the 5th different starting offensive line. Lewis Williams, though, has been the lone constant. On 2nd and 5 from the 32-yard line. They try the left side. Mealy, but Alvin McKinley was right there to put the stick on him. The defense for Mississippi State, a fine unit. They rotate their front 6 every series for freshness. Kevin Sluter, the best among this bunch. They go with 2 ends and officially 1 linebacker. Connor Stevens is the leading sacker of this defensive unit. And Joe Lee Dunn's defense features 5 defensive backs every snap over the last 3 seasons. Big play that we saw there. Who had punt returning to his duties today. Booty to throw. It's complete for the first down as he hooks up with Robert Royal, the wide receiver.
Joe Lee Dunn has a tremendous reputation in the Southeast Conference as an innovative defensive coordinator. Steve, I can't count the number of times that I've been in meetings when they were playing Mississippi State and someone said, well, Joe Lee will have something for us, you know, something new and some different wrinkle. Joe Lee plays the role of the Sly Fox, saying, no, nothing different. We'll just do the same things we've always been doing. Well, pay attention, folks. I don't believe that for a minute.
On first down from the 40-yard line, they'll try the right side. Ashley Cooper came up to make the stop on Rondell Mealy.
Ashley Cooper, one of the 2 dog safeties, arguably the one that has a chance to play at the next level. 6 feet tall, 217 pounds, and as they say, arrives in a bad mood. Difficult to play when you play the 5 situation, the 5 defensive backs, as you pointed out, Steve. Those particular defensive backs have to be run supporters. They don't have the luxury of just being cover guys. They have to hit and cover. It's a hybrid position, as the fancy guys would tell you.
Brings up 2nd and 9 from the 41. Here's Booty looking to throw. He's got some good time. Throws across the middle. It was incomplete behind his wide receiver, Reggie Robinson. Coming up on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's NFL Monday Night Countdown presented by Wrangler. Monday Night Countdown has expanded to 2 big hours every Monday night this season. The show with NFL highlights, interviews, analysis, up-to-the-minute reports, and live reports. Mike Tirico hosts with Ron Jaworski, Tom Jackson, and Sterling Sharp. And then on Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern over on ABC, it's Monday Night Football. The Falcons in Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. ESPN and ABC, your exclusive home for primetime football. 3rd and 9 from the 41. Booty out of the shotgun with a man in motion off the quick snap. Fires, and it's complete. Hooks up with Reggie Robinson, and they're very close to the first down marker.
You hear the fans booing. They thought he got a generous spot. Both wide receivers ran what's called a swirl route. And what that is, they come in, make it look like a cross, and then come back to the outside. Booty does a nice job making the deliver. Watch the wide receivers now. They're going to come inside, and then they pivot out. Poor coverage. Now let's see the spot. Nice stiff arm by Robinson, lunges forward. That was generous. It appeared that he went out of bounds before midfield, Steve, but they'll take it. There's the most beleaguered man in the stadium. When we visited with him yesterday, Steve, well, I tell you, that wasn't a happy man.
Gives it to Rondell Mealy across midfield. Alvin McKinley on the stop. We're going to bring up a 2nd down.
Bob McConnell, the offensive coordinator, because of the difficulties that they had, as you pointed out, Steve, 5 different offensive lines in seven games. I asked him, I said, is this the most difficult year you've had in coaching? By the time I hit he said yes. He didn't even wait. Absolutely, this has been a hard time for him. Not what he'd anticipated.
Has a reputation of bringing along young quarterbacks. While Josh Booty is not young, he is inexperienced, officially as a sophomore. Complete again, this time the right side to Reggie Robinson. And should be good enough for a first down. We check in with Reese Davis.
Steve, Purdue coming back on Penn State. Drew Brees having another fabulous day. It's 28-17 in the 3rd. The fade route to Randall Lane. Lane then got the 2-point conversion. It's 28-25. They're about to start the 4th quarter.
All right, Reese, thanks. Keep us posted.
Did you see that Lane, what was it, against Michigan State, had 21 catches? 21 catches in one game? That's amazing.
That'll be some kind of record.
Oh, good one.
1st and 10 from the 39 now. Single setback is Rondell Mealy. They send the man in motion. That's Abram Booty. And Mealy trying the left side. He was forced out by a pair of Bulldogs. Fred Smoot, one of them, on the play.
Fred Smoot comes up to make the, you know what, Steve, the thing that I've been noticing here early on is that for whatever reason, the corners, Smoot and Bean, in this case you're getting a chance to look at Smoot, there you can see the numbers, leads the team with 3 interceptions, but up to this point, Steve, has been way off the ball. They've been able to complete some balls underneath that they shouldn't have been able to. He's been giving them too much of a cushion. They're going to have to tighten up here.
This is the 10th play of the drive already for the LSU offense. On 2nd and 7 from the 35. 2 wide receivers out to the right. And Booty gives it off to Mealy. And he is stopped immediately at the line of scrimmage by Ellis Wims.
Good penetration on the part of number 92. Jerry DiNardo, as you mentioned, somebody who is certainly under fire. But I am impressed with his focus. The fact that he's not letting these things distract him. He is a football man first and foremost. And Steve, in this particular drive, you got to give him credit. He talked about their ability to move the sticks. Well, that's what they've done coming up now to a 3rd and long.
This is exactly what Joe Lee said they wouldn't be able to do, is move the football down the field, and they would need some big plays. You see the 3rd down conversion rate on 3rd and 10. 6 minutes to play, 1st quarter. Booty puts it up, and he has the man slightly underthrown, but they give him the catch. And it's his younger brother, Abram Booty, bailing him out on the 3rd down play.
See, this is tremendous, and the reason I say that is not just for hyperbole, but the fact that you had 4 Mississippi State shirts surrounding him. Booty runs kind of the comeback route. Here he is in the middle of your screen coming down, then he's going to come back to the ball. Look at all the shirts there. Slides underneath and makes the catch. No, I'm not going to say it's a Booty call. I'm not going to say it.
Booty 4 of 5 so far for 40 yards. They're looking sharp. On 1st and 10 from the 25 now. They swing it out, pitch it to the left side for Mealy. Not much there as the Bulldogs defense tightens.
For whatever reason, Steve, we made a big production out of Joe Lee's defense at the top of the show, but they have really come out flat. For whatever reason, they're back on their heels, and the offensive line that we said has been struggling is actually creating some gaps for the offensive line. I mean, it's not like they're running through chasms, but they're making the defense think about different things. Play action, throwing the ball. Good mix by McConnell here in this drive.
We wondered if Mississippi State would look past LSU, and they said, no way, not based on the 7-game losing streak. Last year they were hammered, gave up 41 points in a loss, and were embarrassed. Here's a 2nd and 8 from the 23. And again, the Bulldog defense tightening up. It's Ellis Wims again on the big hit.
Ellis Wims has been somebody who has been able to make a number of penetrations. Double team guy is going to be at the point of attack. Here he is. He's just going to get inside. And there he is. Number 92 drops Mealy for a loss. That was a good opportunity, Steve. I was thinking for that was a good opportunity. I was thinking for double team, but evidently Wims might have been offsides. I think that's what they're going to call here. Play's going to come back.
That was a dead ball, personal foul, late hit by the defense, half the distance to the goal from the previous spot, automatic 1st down.
Not a popular call here in Starkville, as you would expect.
Well, particularly the way Wims has been playing the last couple of plays. I mean, they drop him, have 3rd and very long, almost out of field goal range. Now they're back in the hunt inside the 20 in the red zone.
1st and 10, ball at the 14-yard line. One back behind Booty, and they give it to Mealy. He's got all sorts of daylight. One man to beat, skips around him, and very close to another 1st down. Ashley Cooper finally knocked him out inside the 5-yard line.
Steve, that's the 6th straight time that they've given it to Mealy on 1st down in this particular drive. Had one man to beat, he's able to do it, but they're able to catch him with the pursuit. Get a chance now to see what set this up, and that's the late hit. Let's take a look as Wims drops him. Well, I don't know. All that I can think of there is that Menifee went to his head with the forearm. That must have been what the official saw.
2nd and 1. Why not give it back to Mealy? And he'll be very close to picking up that first down.
Steve, you know I love this, so I'm going to say it ahead of time so I can give you some space. I actually hope for LSU's sake it's short, because right now if they go play action, because you've got 10 guys in the box.
Wide open.
They're benched right. I mean, they're just chunked in there right between the two tight ends. But it's first down, and you can see Jerry DiNardo trying to get ahead of the game here as to what to call.
Last week against Kentucky was the first time all season the LSU offense didn't manage a single touchdown. And yet they've got one here. An impressive drive by LSU. They march down the football field and take a 6-0 lead over the mighty Mississippi State defense.
Hey, Steve, I got to tell you, Jason Baggett and Whiney did a great job there on the right side of the offensive line, pushing people back. Mississippi State definitely flattened. You can see the excitement on the LSU bench. They needed to start well. Exactly what you talked about. The defense play well. The offense gets something going and score first. Steve, that's exactly what's happened.
Here's John Corbello on to attempt the extra point. And he's got it. Jerry DiNardo has to be thrilled the way this one has started out. Rondell Mealy goes in for his 6th touchdown of the season. What a drive that was, capped off by Rondell Mealy. 16 plays, 72 yards in 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Uncharacteristic of LSU and uncharacteristic for the Mississippi State defense to allow that.
And Joe Lee Dunn was very candid about the fact that they said, you know what, Steve, they can't do that to us. We're going to make them drive 80 yards. Well, guess what? It's pretty much what they did.
Danny Boyd boots it into the end zone for the touchback, and Mississippi State will try it on 1st and 10 from their own 20. Well, what a difference a week ago makes. LSU at Kentucky, first quarter, barely a minute into the game. LSU punts it away on their first punt to Kendrick Shanklin, a native of Baton Rouge, by the way, and he hurts the boys from Baton Rouge, returning at 56 yards for his score. Anthony White would break free on a 32-yard run. Kentucky would go on to win 31-5, the biggest margin of victory for the Wildcats in the 50-year history of their rivalry with LSU. But here's a different story, at least so far. The Tigers have a 7-0 lead. DeCenzo Miller the carry, and Kareem Mitchell. We told you he's good on the run stop, and he was right there.
Well, there's certainly no time to panic. It's early in the first quarter, but if the end of the first quarter is 7-0, LSU looks at themselves and said, hey, look, you know, we stunk at Kentucky. We've been stinking it up, but all of a sudden you got to feel a lot better about yourself. And you see the people slapping hands, a little of the body English down there for LSU thinking to themselves, hey, we got a shot.
This is a tough week for morale and team spirit, and as you mentioned, it's a good time to get something going, start feeling good about yourself. They screened it out to the right to Kelvin Love. Clarence LeBlanc came up to make the stop. We check in with Reese Davis.
Yeah, he's just down on the highway, about an hour from you, Bryant-Denny Stadium, Tennessee and Alabama. T. Martin has been wearing out the Tide defense on bootleg runs, and he scores from 21 yards out. A couple of touchdown runs on the day. Ball's up 21-7. Nebraska and Texas, this thing has been a dogfight all day. Major Applewhite finding Mike Jones. Applewhite 8 of 9, a $1.66, 2 touchdowns in the second half. Texas by 4.
All right, Reese, thanks. 2:45 to play here in quarter number 1. Dave Mackin to throw. Under pressure. Middle screen. He hits some running room there. Hits Terrell Grindle rather on the play. Brandy James the stop.
See, last week, Terrell Grindle is the man that made his presence known. He was a freshman and he was a backup. But last week, 6 catches for 109 yards against Auburn. And when we asked Jackie about him, he said, hey, kid's playing well. I got to get him in. That was a big first down for them. The last thing they wanted to do there was go 3 and out and give LSU another chance while they're hot.
Move the chains. Gives them a fresh set down. On 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Out of the eye. Miller and Williamson are behind Wayne Matkin. Gives it to the tailback. It's slowed up by the first Tiger and then brought down by the second Tiger, Ryan Clark.
Miller breaking tackles, keeping his feet moving. Again, one of the things about when you go running back by committee, there's good and bad, Steve. It's good for the fact that you know you can just go all out every single time you get a carry. It's bad from the vantage point that sometimes you try too hard, and when you try too hard, that's when the fumbles come.
2nd and 7. Also, I think it would affect the defense. There's no one guy to key on. You've seen a different player every single play.
Following up that point, though, Steve, let me make this. Yep. Let me make this idea, and that is that if they could have all four, or if they could have J.J. Johnson from last year and over 1,300 yards, I don't think it's a big decision. You want to have that stud runner, and Jackie Sherrill conceded that point.
Todd, I've been impressed with the crowd so far. You hear how quiet they get when Mississippi State's on offense, and then on defense they bring up the level. It's a very educated crowd here in Starkville.
Saw Trevor Falk on the tackle now, once again up 3rd and long. And a flag is thrown. I think that they have a substitution problem here.
We have two fullbacks, it looks like, Griffith and Williamson, in the game at the same time.
Now the 3rd and long becomes 3rd and longer as a result of having the 13 guys in the huddle.
That was a dead ball, illegal substitution, breaking the huddle with 12 players against the offense, 5 yards from the previous spot, and still 3rd down.
Steve, you want the uninitiated at home to understand that the official is not patriotic. That's the new signal for the substitution foul.
3rd down.
Although let me say nothing wrong with being patriotic.
I heard you during the anthem. I know you think there's nothing wrong with being patriotic.
Amen.
3rd and 11. Ball to 30. Here's Mack to the pass. 3 of 4 so far. Make it 3 of 5. Incomplete. He was looking for the fullback Griffith, and not that close. We approach the final half minute of play here in quarter number 1.
Well, LSU with a little bound in their step. Now the onus is upon that defense we raved about. And let's see the situation with Walker now after he hyperextended his foot a little bit. Let's take a close look at his style. As you pointed out, Steve, averaging 44 yards in his career. See how affected he is by that first debacle.
Bit of a low snap to him. And a low punt as well. Went out of bounds with a 45.
I'd say he's effective. He's coming over gingerly. Jackie Sherrill not very happy about it. Good field position again for LSU. Jeff Walker, arguably the best punter. In fact, he is, average-wise, in the SEC. Take a look at the first punt. This is the one where he hyperextends his foot. He actually, look at his knee. It actually hit him in the mouth practically. Ouch. You can see he gimps and falls down. That was a 24-yard punt. Now let's see it again. As the low snap, follows through, kind of shanks it off the inside of his foot, and you can see it's still hurting him. That's a big issue with Mississippi State because, Steve, they have like a 43-yard net coming into the game.
Booty back to work. Connects with Reggie Robinson, who is forced out. Tim Nelson on the stop, along with Barris Grant.
Now, you would say to yourself, Steve, Bob McConnell, the offensive coordinator, come into this game. That man, Josh Booty, 11 interceptions, tied for the lead in the nation. 15 interceptions altogether by the LSU quarterback himself. That does lead the nation. So what does he do? He's throwing the ball. He comes in and says, hey, you know what? We got nothing to lose. Let's get some confidence in this youngster and let's get it right. And up to this point, he has been fantastic.
5 of 6 for 51 yards for Josh Booty. And looking confident. This is only his 4th start. He's thrown 3 interceptions in each of his first 3. The pitch to Neely. And they're passing and running the ball effectively. That should be good for another first down.
You saw in the background, you saw a young man in his purple shirt jumping up and down, getting excited. Steve, I'm telling you that when we came up to the press box, not that many people were excited. They're just kind of shrugging their shoulders, going through the motions. Hey, Mississippi State's number 11, big showdown coming up. LSU are playing out the schedule hardly. LSU has come out possessed. They've beaten these people 7 straight times. They're daring them to do it again.
The quarter comes to an end, and it's a bit of a surprise after the first 15 minutes. On a brilliant drive engineered by Josh Booty, Rondell Mealy went in, and LSU leads Mississippi State. Steve Levy, Todd Christensen, Holly Rowe from Starkville, Mississippi. It was a strange first quarter for Mississippi State. Strange in that they're trailing. The first points they've given up all season in the first quarter. And on the first play of the second quarter, there's a flag.
You know, Jason Baggett has not played at all, Steve. This is his first game starting at right guard. He's the one that moved a little bit too soon. It was cute. He actually knew it, too, and he clapped his hands. He was supposed to redshirt, number 69.
Movement on the line by the offense, 5 yards from the previous spot. still first down.
But they've had so many injuries on the offensive line that they had to take him out of the red shirt. And Coach DiNardo pulled him aside privately to ask if this was all right with him. And Jason said, heck yeah, I'm game to play. And there he is. And I'd say, judging by the first 2 drives, he's playing pretty well, Steve.
And he said he's going to give him 5 games. He doesn't have to play great football, just not atrocious football. It'll give him 5 games and see where they are from that point. Here's Bᴜʟʟᴅᴏ to throw. And he completes a pass to Jarrell Myers, the true freshman, and Robert Bean to stop, and another flag there. That came late.
Bean was a little bit late in trying to take the ball away from him, and what the deal was, the officials saw that, and he said, okay, that's enough. I'm not messing with that anymore. The play was over with. He was on the ground. Bean tries to strip him of the ball. Should have just let it go. It's one of those intimidation things that defensive plays do, and you saw that. You saw Jerry DiNardo tap his head and say, don't get involved in that, and the receiver did not. As a result, it's going to be 15 against the Bulldogs.
That was a dead ball, personal foul, late hit by the defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, first down.
Take a look at the end of the play. Here's the catch. He's already on the ground. Okay, so what's the point? He's got his arm stuck inside. He's trying to pull the ball away. Is he just trying to get his arm back? I'm not sure that that's something they should have just let go. Myers is trying to keep the ball. He knows he's got it. Bean looks like he's just trying to get his arm out.
LSU has stayed away from that stuff, Todd. #1 in the SEC in fewest penalties. One of the few categories they lead the league in. Pitch to the right to Rondell Miller. Not much there as he stays in bounds. And another flag on the field.
This one's in the middle of the field. That would indicate some holding.
We told you about LSU decimated by injuries. It's not just on the offensive line. You see their projected starters. These are the guys they'd like to be able to go with. And here's what they've kind of been forced into. You see the arrows indicating the players replacing projected starters, and there are 5 of them, just about half your offense. That's tough.
Steve noticed that a chunk of those, 3 in the offensive line and 1 at tight end. That's the big issue, I feel like, in college football. You've got to have an offensive line that has some cohesion and has worked together, and when you don't, you're asking for problems.
Again, 5th SEC game, 5th different starting offensive line here tonight. Out of the shotgun on a 1st and 20 from the 29. It's the quick hitter, and he's hit even quicker by the defense. Barris Grant put the stick on.
That play looked like it took a little bit too long to develop. You saw the drop play. I don't know if Neely needed to slide over more, or maybe it was a situation where Booty didn't get the ball to him quickly enough. But Wims is having a fabulous game early on.
Ball spotted just inside the 30-yard line on 2nd and 20. One back, and they pitch it to Neely, the right side, and nothing doing. The Mississippi State defense trying to rise to the occasion.
Now what LSU has to do here, Steve, don't get greedy. You've got 3rd and close to 20. Get a 5 or 8 yard pass that you can get down inside the 25, get in a position to have a makeable field goal here. And above all, don't get your quarterback sacked. Don't get him knocked out of field goal range.
We keep going back to Joe Lee, as you see right there. He said the key number he looks at from the opposition is 3rd down conversion. And so far tonight, LSU is 3 of 3 on 3rd down conversion. There you see what they've done coming in the Mississippi State defense. They've been excellent at that. 3rd and 21 from the 31. Booty connects. And just as you said, just put him in field goal position. Don't try to get the whole thing back. Hits Jarrell Myers, Todd. Big Prather made the stop, and it sets him up in a good spot for a field goal.
Mississippi State played into that too, Steve. Take a look. There's going to be a blitz. You're going to have 7 coming, and what that does is that's man for man. Booty recognizes it, is able to get the ball off quickly. Easy catch, short catch, now setting up about a 41-yard field goal.
41, John Corbello, his longest is 43. And motion on the line. Looked like Mississippi State jumped. Willie Blade coming right up the middle.
Steve, it also looked like the long snapper, I believe it's Thomas Dunson, rocked a little bit there. Rocked his butt back. Oh, maybe not. Jackie Sherrill is absolutely livid. If there's something he's involved with personally as the head coach, it is the kicking game.
That was a dead ball, offsides by the defense, 5 yards from the previous spot, still 4th down.
Take a look at the ISO monitor and see whether or not York was able to rock back or whether or not. Watch the center right here. Now, he didn't rock back until later. That's a good call by the official. Mississippi State a little bit too anxious.
Puts him in a much better situation now. So it'll be a 36-yard attempt instead of 41. And we'll never know if the 5 yards makes a difference or not. The field goal is good by John Corbello. And we've got a bit of a surprise brewing. Jerry DiNardo's Tigers are in Starkville. And here early in the second quarter, they find themselves with a 10-point lead. Mississippi State Bulldogs come in with their highest ranking dating back to week 8 of the 81 season when they were number 7 in the land. They come in 11th ranked in the country, yet trailing LSU 10-0 here in quarter number 2. It's Larry Huntington taking the ensuing kickoff after the field goal, and he is shy of the 25-yard line. Brady James made the stop on him.
How about a little pressure on Huntington having to wear the number that James Johnson had from last year? That's tough to replace. Madkin 3 of 5, but very conservative. Hard to tell, Steve, as to whether or not the finger's affecting him.
They were concerned about his release and the speed of being able to release with the football with that pin in his finger. On 1st and 10 now, and playing from behind. Ball at the 22-yard line, out of the eye. Dante Walker and Rod Gibson in the backfield. And they give it to Walker. Trial on the right side. Not much there. 1 year ago in this matchup, Mississippi State LSU, and the Tigers defense was tough. They stopped James Johnson, the SEC's leading rusher coming into the game. Held him to just 76 yards on 20 carries. And then their guy named Kevin Falk, he surpassed Dalton Hilliard's LSU career rushing mark with that 27-yard run. And later, Falk on the receiving end of a Herb Tyler pass, scoring on a 30-yard play, finished with 123 yards rushing, and LSU won 41-6. And yet, despite that, Todd, they're scheduled as the homecoming opponent.
Steve, Charlie Steiner and I did that game last year, and as coaches say when they're candid in press conferences after the game when they get beat like that, they say, that was an old-fashioned butt whipping. That's not my, I don't use that in my nomenclature.
That was a dead ball. False starts, movement on the offensive line, 5 yards from the previous spot, and still 2nd down.
See, now Mississippi State is in a situation they're making physical errors, mental errors. They're just completely out of sync. They need a big play here offensively to get back into this thing.
You see the penalties, and I'm not sure they tell the story. You know, 5 very important penalties against Mississippi State for 44 yards. One led to the touchdown, and one made it a lot easier to connect down the field goal in the 5-yard cushion. Rolling is Madkin at all sorts of time, and a receiver wide open. And they say Kelvin Love had it before it hit the ground. And we check in with Reese Davis.
Steve, Penn State and Purdue late in the 4th quarter. Penn State 31-25. Purdue driving when Cedric Brown fumbles. The Penn State defense, which has scored 2 touchdowns, gets the turnover. Nittany Lions have the ball back late. It's 31-25 late in the 4th quarter. In Tennessee, Alabama, it's the final. The ball defense was stifling. Held Alexander to 98 yards. 21-7 the final.
All right, Reese, thank you. Here we've got 10:20 to play in quarter number 2. LSU leading Mississippi State 10-0 on a 1st and 10 from the 38 after the 21-yard pickup. They try the running game, and not much there for Rod Gibson as Johnny Mitchell made the stop.
But the catch by Kelvin Love was big to get them out of that hole and get him close to midfield. Kelvin Love, converted quarterback, a great JC quarterback, averaging 22 yards per catch. He is their big play guy. They want to get the ball in his hands 5 or 10 times a game because he can certainly make things happen.
2nd and 8 from the 40 now. Out of the eye. 2 wide receivers out to the left. And they give it to the fullback, Rod Gibson, and nothing there. A loss on the play as Charles Smith was in the backfield as Gibson was receiving the football. Coming up tonight, there's more football for you. 7 o'clock Eastern over on ESPN. Chris Weinke in #1 Florida State. They'll head north to take on Clemson in the Bowden battle there. And then tonight, following our game here on ESPN2, we'll send you out west to Laramie, Wyoming. See Kevin McDougal and the Rams of Colorado State battle the Cowboys. ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Mississippi State 1 for 3 so far on third down conversions. This is a 3rd and 8 from the 40. And a timeout is called. Matkin apparently didn't like what he saw from the LSU defense. That's been the story of this game so far. Mississippi State back and set to go on offense on a big 3rd down play. They have not gotten their success through their offense. It's been mostly their defense. It's an offense, though, the Bulldogs that lost 9 senior offensive starters from a year ago. 8 of them received an NFL paycheck one way or the other. So some talented people leaving town, and they're trying to replace them now on a 3rd and 8 from the 40. It is complete, but short of the 1st down. Matkin hooks up with Dante Walker, the true freshman.
Walker's the guy they hope to be their 20-carry-a-game back, but getting him the ball and assuming that he hasn't played up to this point, that suddenly he's going to break a couple of tackles and getting a 1st down is asking an awful lot of the youngster, who certainly had to be cold coming in, Steve. I'm surprised they didn't throw the ball downfield.
Here's the punter. It's been an adventure so far for Jeff Walker. A 25-yard punt and a 24-yard punt for a guy with an average of 44.7 coming in. And he boots that away, and that looks like a Jeff Walker punt. No threat count. Football loose. Who's got it?
Steve, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the halo rule. He was too close. That's the official says, but the flag came out very, very late.
That's why I didn't think it was the halo.
Mississippi State is Jeff Walker sitting there arguing about it. It was the right call. He was too close. It just came out a little too late.
Hey, Walker's foot apparently was okay. He got down the field pretty quickly. Didn't need to argue the call.
He did, and that was a whale of a punt. 49-yard punt, more like the average that he's used to. The rule that by now, if you've been watching college football, you're aware of.
Foul was an illegal violation by the kicking team, being within 2 yards of the receiver, 5 yards from the spot of the foul, followed by 1st down.
Take a look. Is that too? Oh, I'd say that's a little too close. No doubt about it. Good job by the official. Clinton is there, but you don't see a flag. And sprinting in there to make the recovery is Michael Bender. Now here's the official right there who runs in and drops the flag, but just a little bit too late. And that's why Jackie Sherrill and his staff are a little miffed.
LSU will start 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line. And they hand it off up the middle to Dominic Davis, his 1st carry of the game.
LSU has been struggling over the last couple of games, losing 10 of their last 11 in the SEC, but they have never lost 8 straight. So right now, Steve, I'm surprised that you don't have 9 in the box for Mississippi State, because Walker did his thing. He punted it down, pinned him down inside the 20. They need a 3 and out to get the ball back at midfield to see if they can do something before the end of the half.
Davis and Banks behind Josh Booty. 2 wide out, split out to the right. Looks like Booty trying to change the play at the line, and the flag comes flying.
Ashley Cooper, the dog safety, is the one creating the problems. He runs up, sprints.
False start, movement on the offensive line, 5-yard foul from the previous spot. Still 2nd down.
Take a look at Ashley Cooper, the dog safety. He's the one that's going to be messing around at the line of scrimmage, #1. Here's Nelson. Now, Cooper's at the top of the screen. You see Booty come like this. Now they start to move. What's the deal? What's going on? Now the tackle moves his head up. Goes against LSU.
On 2nd down now after the penalty.
Jerry Donato's doing the right thing, Steve. You're up 10-0. The last thing you need to do is put the ball up here and make a mistake. He's content with this, hoping that his punter can get them out of a hole. I'd be very surprised here on 3rd and long if Booty threw it up.
We should mention, you've mentioned the dog position a number of times. That is not a negative. That is not a slight of the particular player. Joe Lee just changes that, choose whatever team he plays on. These are Bulldogs, and thus the dog position.
Canine's a little too fancy.
And that's D-A-W-G, dog. 3rd down. This is their 3 of 4 on conversions. Here's Booty looking to his right and throwing and nearly intercepted. Robert Bean on the coverage there, and that was the knock on Booty with the interceptions. He never looks off the receiver, and he was looking at the same player, the wideout, the whole time there when he threw the ball.
Steve, as I say, I was very surprised. He's double teamed. That's a very difficult throw. Throwing out away from the ball. It could have been picked. Certainly was. Bean could have gone into the house. Instead, very lucky to get that one back and have it punt.
Corey Gibbs is back to punt. Gibbs gets it away, but a whistle and a flag before the snap. It's an interesting punting battle. Gibbs actually leads the SEC in punting. However, Walker Wood, his average is better for Mississippi State, but he doesn't have enough punts to qualify. So officially, Gibbs is the leading punter in the SEC.
That was a dead ball.
That's how
movement on the offensive line, 5 yards from the previous spot. Still 4th down.
You saw the stopwatch in the hand of Jackie Sherrill. That's how serious he takes the kicking game. Another man who has a stopwatch, Joe Tiller for Purdue. But what he's timing is the protection. He'll time how long his quarterback's back.
Blocked in the end zone, and it goes out of the end zone for a safety. Eugene Clinton from Mississippi State. And this place has exploded. The Bulldogs are on the board.
And yet another dog safety, Steve. Reserve dog safety. Number 14, Clinton, comes in relatively free. And I'm surprised, frankly, because most of the time, Steve, when you have that situation deep in your own territory, you want to set up a return because everybody's bunched in. Take a look from the bottom of your screen. He's going to come in. Now forcing to take 2 guys. The fullback is not able to get a piece of him. That's number 82, the upback, Michael Lilly. Take a look right here. He's got to take these 2 men. He takes the inside guy, lets him go to the outside. He needs to brush him just a little bit. His angle is poor. He only gets the 1 guy coming off the side. Taking the great angle is Clinton. Steve, I'm telling you that from having done field goals and punts. I've been in that situation. You have to take those 2 guys. You have to bump the guy on the outside. Clinton does a great job coming off the end, getting the great angle for the block.
Another penalty that you would think would lead to the scoring in that case. He's pushed back 5 yards, punting in the back of the end zone. And Gibbs is a guy we showed you earlier, had a punt blocked a week ago. Kendrick Shanklin for Kentucky blocked a punt and returned it 56 yards for a score. This blocked punt results in a safety.
Well, especially when you're a young punter and you maybe don't quite have the feel for the rush. You know that deep in your own territory, you don't want to take any chances with long 3 steps. Take the 2 steps and get rid of it. But Clinton is excited, and as we pointed out, this is how Mississippi State wins games. They don't do it with 80-yard bombs. They do it with field position in their kicking game.
6:06 left here in the second quarter. 10-2 in favor of LSU. Danny Boyd now the free kick from the 20.
Remember we said a little while ago, I said they're Virginia Tech Junior, right?
That's right.
Walker kicked it too?
That's right.
They have about 63 more to go, but it'll catch up to that team.
And the free kick, line drive, is caught by Pig Prather. He's out across midfield, and then some. And it looks like momentum is swinging in favor all of a sudden of Mississippi State. They get the safety, and they'll start with great field position at the 45-yard line. Now you can prove you're a serious college football fan. Just order the ESPN Game Plan College Football Pay-Per-View Package and watch over 100 college football games. Follow your favorite teams and conferences. To order, call your local cable operator, DirecTV, at 1-800-DirecTV, or Dish Network at 1-800-333-DISH. Things are starting to heat up here in Starkville, Mississippi. Under 6 to play here in the first half. Metcalf's going to throw it under pressure. Throws it up the field, and it is caught. complete to Larry Huntington, who went up and got it for his quarterback.
You know, I mentioned that he was wearing double deuce. Pressure to take the number. The big star from the year before had a couple of nice kick returns, and right there, throwing off his back foot. You pointed it out, able to get away with one. That's where Madkin's heading. He throws it up for grabs. Huntington able to come underneath it. The defenders just can't get there quick enough. He takes the whack, but good concentration on the ball. Wedge between the Bengal Tiger defenders. Big first down for the Bulldogs.
Gain of 13 there. I started to slip into a little draw myself.
I saw that.
Mississippi, you said. You know, you're around here for 4 or 5 days.
We'll say born and raised in New York. What's up with that Mississippi?
5.5 to play here in the first half. An eventful first half it has been.
Jackie Sherrill certainly likes what he sees now as opposed to what transpired in the first quarter. A number of times you saw him on the sidelines frustrated and angry, disappointed in the mental errors that his team is making, but this is where they win. This is how they win. Jerry DiNardo, on the other hand, very calm and placid. He understands the yin and yang of the game.
Not to make excuses for the Mississippi State offense to this point, they do come off an off week, and that could certainly affect the tempo and rhythm of an offense. As we see maybe some problem with the rhythm right here as Wayne Matkin calls timeout again, using his second already of the first half. We'll step out. 4:53 to play here in the second. LSU by 8. Thoughts on that last timeout?
Very disappointing. Wayne Madkin needs to understand the totality of the game, and what I mean by that, not being existential, simply you've got all the momentum going your way. Run the play. Don't give the defense a chance to regroup. That's what he did with that timeout.
The sophomore starting ahead of the senior, Matt Wyatt. It was Wyatt who led into a terrific comeback a couple of weeks ago. Matkin to throw. There's a double coverage and caught. What a grab by Larry Huntington again.
Then again, I think that was a good timeout, because what you did... You're right, he threw into double coverage, and it looked for all intents and purposes like the ball was going to get picked off. Take a look at the end of the play. Clarence LeBlanc feels like he has it right in his sights, but it just passed his fingertips, and Huntington once again with a big catch.
15 yards on that play.
That's a nice catch there. Those tackle-fied gloves are great.
Second time Huntington skies up to grab a football. But he can jam.
Got some hops.
Yeah. Two-handed reverse tomahawk jam, too. And they go back to the running game with Justin Griffith, the fullback. Not much there, but there's plenty with Reese Davis.
Steve, Purdue trying to upset Penn State. It's 4th and 10. You see the clock. Under 20 to go. Breeze for the touchdown and the game. No. Out of bounds, looking for Chris Daniels, and Penn State escapes. Still unbeaten, 31-25 the final. The Nittany Lions get out of there with a 6-point win.
Steve, I got to tell you got to give Penn State their due. They've played everybody. They haven't ducked anybody. Tough games. They've risen to the occasion every time.
As they remain unbeaten, Mississippi State, one of the 7 unbeaten Division I-A coming into this. You see the play clock, 5 left on it. Confusion at the line of scrimmage, and a wide open Matt Butler, but Matkin could not connect with him.
The free safety vacates. He gets confused in the middle of the field, and Butler on the slant. Plenty of time. Take a look. Watch the slant. There is no free safety. There's nobody in the middle of the field. The play action draws him up, and look at this. He's wide open. Just can't deliver the ball. Lou Tepper's going to have a word with his free safety. They're saying, no, don't bite on that so quickly, especially inside the 20. Definitely a lost opportunity for the Bulldogs.
Third down. They're 1 of 4 in conversions so far. This is a 3rd down and 9 now from the 14-yard line. Matkin has all sorts of time. Now feels the pressure, throws it up, and he threw it away into the corner of the end zone. Todd, you were talking about Penn State remaining unbeaten. They've played everybody, while Mississippi State's unbeaten. And would you say they've played anybody to this point?
That's a good point. And I think that this is showing right here. LSU certainly isn't one of the elite teams in the SEC, but they've been very competitive up to this point. And I think the point that you made earlier was a cogent one regarding how the offense is out of sync. How many times has Madkin come up the line of scrimmage and not been sure of what to do?
Here's Scott Westerfield to attempt the 31-yard field goal. It is up, and it is good. And the Bulldogs inch closer now. With 3:28 to go, LSU by 5. Back in Starkville, it's homecoming, and the alumni feeling much better about their chances tonight. Down 10-5 now, late in the second quarter.
There's what you were referring to, Steve. The first 7 opponents, that record, the last 4, it's going to be a different story. Now, coming into this game, of course, LSU 2-4. So I think that Jackie Sherrill is well aware of the criticism. Nonetheless, you play who's on your schedule. We're number 11. What are you going to say? We're 6-0.
Jeff Walker.
Well, that scuff must not have hurt him too much if he's able to kick off.
Kicking off as well is great.
This puts some pressure on your foot here.
How about the way he flew down the field to argue that penalty call? I think he's fine. Dominic Davis and Jarrell Myers are deep for LSU. And it is Davis at his goal line. He's out across the 20. Stopped at the 22-yard line. And we'll check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Steve, coming up at halftime, the Huskers go deep in the heart of Texas and get shucked. Also in the Big House, a huge upset. If you haven't seen it, you won't believe it. And the weekly shuffle in the Pac-10, a lot of wild games out west. We'll let you know what's going on. John Makovic joins me at halftime. See you then.
All right, Reese, we look forward to that. That's coming up at halftime. 3 minutes, 18 seconds away from that here in Starkville.
Not to give it away, Steve, but the Fighting Illini justify their nickname. How's that?
The new Tepper here, it's very appropriate. Booty off the play action, hung on to it and bought himself some time rolling out, and that hits Robert Royal across the middle of the field.
Robert Royal has made 2 big catches here in the first down. The misdirection, great block at the point of attack to free him. Let him roll to his left, puts the ball on the money. Mississippi State not in bad coverage, but Royal now utilizing the receiver's version of the wee Willie Keeler. He sets down where they ain't. He's able to come up with the ball.
16 yards on that catch. A fresh set. First and 10 to the 39. Booty will pitch it to the left side for Rondell Mealy. And he is hammered down by Willie Blade.
Blade pulled him down so aggressively that it looked for a second there that it might have been a face mask, but I think it was just a shoulder pad. It shows the strength of Willie Blade. Watch at the end of the play. Watch him get jerked back by Blade. Yikes. Well, I tell you what, that's some power right there. And even if he did have a small piece of the face mask, he dropped the hand quickly.
2nd and 10 now from the 39. Booty in motion, and the other Booty dropped back to pass. And he threw it in between the 2 targets, Jarrell Myers and Abram Booty, and Josh Booty's pass falls incomplete.
And this is one of the times, too, Booty in the backfield was throwing almost on his backside, and that was with a 3-step drop. Now it appears that Joe Lee Dunn has made some adjustments, having some people come from some different angles, confusing that young offensive line, Steve.
Again, Booty made his first collegiate start 3 weeks ago against Georgia. Had his 2-point conversion knocked away, and they wound up losing by 1. Booty, 9 of 11 for 77 yards. And there you see 3rd down conversions tonight for LSU. I think 60%. Here's 3rd and 10, out of the eye, and the crowd roaring in support of the 2nd-ranked defense of the nation. Booty tries to step up into the pocket, and he is crushed.
Go ahead, name the guy that did that. Times it by 5.
The front 6.
I tell you what, this is what, you know, it's like the old joke. It's a jailbreak. That's what it is a jailbreak. Watch at the point of attack. Booty gets a 3-step drop, and there's no place to go. They just crush the pocket. The youngsters up front now are having a problem. You see Whiney, he has the pulled groin, doesn't have the feet he usually does. We have a right guard who's starting his first game, Steve. Difficult situation for Mississippi State.
Low snap. Corey Gibbs barely got it away, and he was knocked to the ground. I do not see a flag, and Mississippi State, now a flag comes well after the fact, with the ball down at about the 28-yard line.
Steve, it's going to be a negative net. Remember years ago when Joe Theismann kicked that ball in Soldier Stadium and it went backwards in the wind? This is going to be a negative net, but I think what they're saying is that I think it might have hit a Mississippi State man. Well, you saw who they were pointing to at the end of the play. They pointed to number 44. That was Jamal Dinkins. who they're going to call the personal foul against.
Got a lot of snapping issues today. A lot of low snaps.
I think it's Wendell York.
Foul is a dead
No,
ball.
it isn't. It's Thomas
Personal
Dunston. It's a
foul.
little bit low. It's on the ground.
15 yards from the spot
Nobody
of the
hit
foul,
him.
followed by first down.
That's a good non-call there by the referee to let it go. Now watch at the end of the play. Watch number 44. Right here. The 44 hits him in the back. That's the official feels like is going to be the penalty, and then he hits him again right there in the middle. 15 yards, costly for the Bulldogs after a poor punt.
So they take over at the 45-yard line on 1st and 10. Wayne Madkin to pass. Steps up to the 50 and throws. And there wasn't a Mississippi State receiver within 10 yards of that, and it was nearly picked off by Trevorance Falk.
I don't know, Steve, at this point whether or not it has anything to do with the finger, but the judgments of Wayne Madkin have been very frustrating. Take a look as he rolls out here. Your point is well taken. You have receivers that are out here. There's nobody close right here where he ends up throwing the ball. There's nothing but white shirts. Now watch as he scrambles. Who could this possibly be going to? Very fortunate to get that one back.
The only 5 players on the screen in that whole picture were all in white LSU uniforms. On 2nd and 10 now. In the 45. Madkin to throw again. Feeling some of the pressure. Steps up. He's going to take off now. He's at the 40, and he's drilled down at the 39-yard line. Ryan Clark got to him, the free safety.
Is it just me, or does Madkin look like Chris Rock? He has kind of a Chris Rock thing going with that. You know, the thing is, the decision-making has just been frustrating for that young man. He's had plenty of time to throw, been biding his time 5-6 seconds. He just can't find anybody. I think you made a good point earlier, Steve. The week off has really hurt that young man.
We'll try to find a better chance to find somebody now. He's got 4 wide receivers in the game. Now here's Madkin. Pumps once, lets it go. Goes to a safe play to the fullback, Justin Griffith.
And heads up on the part of Griffith to get out of bounds, Steve. He cuts upfield, collides with the defender, and instead of trying to get a meaningless 2 or 3 extra yards, I'm saying meaningless with 30 seconds left in the half, he gets out of bounds. Mississippi State is able to save its last time out.
Pick up a 9 on that play. And it moves the change.
Interesting now for Sparky Woods. What does he do here? Does he try and get a little bit closer for a field goal, or does he take a chance to throw one into the end zone here?
You see they only have 1 timeout remaining. 30 seconds left on 1st and 10 from the 31. Here's Madkin. Overthrows his intended receiver, Terrell Grindle. And it'll bring up a 3rd down situation.
Lou Tepper normally a little bit conservative defensively. He comes with the blitz. Take a look at the end of the play. Madkin just gets pulverized by 3 Bengal Tigers. And looks at his hand. Look at the finger. Am I okay? I think the combination of that, Steve, the finger, the week off, and the fact that because of the finger, he didn't get the normal amount of repetitions that he might. I think all of those are contributing factors as to why he's struggling.
You see the numbers. Numbers may be better than he's actually playing on the field. You're right. This is 2nd and 10 from the 31. Again, with 1 timeout left. Here's Madkin under pressure. He's going to go down. Loose football. And they say no. He was taken down by Jason Green under heavy pressure.
Now, Steve, if I'm Jerry DiNardo, I'm asking the question, who's he throwing to? Who is he throwing to? Incomplete pass. This is huge. Because if it's a sack or it's intentional grounding, they're way out of field goal position. I think MSU got away with one there, Steve.
Third and 10 from the 31. 22 seconds left. They catch a break off the call of incomplete pass. And they're rushing from the outside, and he was offside, jumped a bit. The flag from the far side. It was Jeremy Lawrence, a bit too eager.
I wonder if that's what's going to... Steve, it appeared that Porkchop Womack rocked back a little bit, too.
Porkchop's real first name, we should say, it's not on the birth certificate. It's Floyd.
And he wasn't named because he eats so much either. It was because there was a local wrestler by the name of Pork Chop Cash that his mom liked.
So his mom gave him the real name and gave him the nickname as well.
Good thing his mom didn't like Gorgeous George. Now here's what we were talking about with Pork Chop Womack at the end of the line. Take a look right here and watch the center. The center looks back. He rocks up. This one
was a dead ball, offside.
Paul Mooney.
5 yards from the previous spot. Please reset the clock to 22 seconds. 22 seconds.
Paul Mooney, Steve, is the center. First-year center, even though he's a fifth-year senior. That rock of the legs, I think that's something that the official could have called as well as Womack. Once again, the Bulldogs get a break. 5 yards closer to field goal position.
Mooney, the center, goes 6'8". I'm not sure I can think of another center who's been that tall.
Wes Unseld?
I meant the football center, but you're right. Wes Unseld would qualify. 3rd and 5 when we come back after the LSU timeout. Tigers and Bulldogs living together in the same stadium, at least for one night. We're 22 seconds away from halftime, and Reese Davis and John Malkovich get you caught up with everything going on in the college football world. This is a 3rd and 5 from the 25.
I'm thinking this is field goal position, Steve. You got to get a little bit closer.
Here's Matkin out of the shotgun. LSU is bringing the student back. Complete the pass. What a throw from Matkin to Kelvin Love. And every time you doubt Matkin, he comes through with a clutch throw with pressure.
They're going to have to use their last timeout. It appeared a number of players were calling timeout, but evidently they changed their mind. They let the sticks do it. As you mentioned, Love on the slant. LSU comes with the blitz, able to take advantage of it in the man coverage. Madkin's going to have to spike it. I wonder if he might be one of those fake spikes. Remember Marino against the Jets with the fake spike and then throws over the top, but not this time.
I don't think the Jets won a game for 2 seasons after that play.
Arguably the biggest play of this particular drive, Steve, is the non-call on what could have been intentional grounding. Take a look here and see if anybody is close to Madkin when he throws the ball up in the air. Love is going to be long gone. You're going to have Rainey out of the backfield. Now, he's the closest man right there. Take a look at what Madkin throws. Is it possibly throwing there? I don't think so. See, you got to look downfield and see that the only man that's closest is the 30-yard line. That's where I think Mississippi State caught a break, Steve.
Madkin 9 of 15 for 102 yards. He got 6 right here. He's throwing corner of the end zone. Was looking for the jump ball and didn't get it. Looking for Kelvin Love and Robert Davis. The backup was playing in place of the suspended Mark Roman on the coverage.
That's the second big play that Davis has made. Remember earlier, Steve, he had Love on the post pattern in the first quarter that could have gone to the yard. Instead, he's right with the man. Everybody always talks about that. Go ahead and go with the jump ball. I think cornerbacks, some of the shorter guys take umbrage to that, and they don't mind beating some people up. It takes timing. It's not just a matter of a guy being taller.
9 seconds left. Mississippi State still has their 1 timeout remaining. From the 6. Here's Matkin. He's got to use all 6 seconds. Throws it. It is batted away, and was it intercepted? Yes, it was. Intercepted in the end zone by LSU, Brady James.
Steve, even if it wasn't intercepted, the clock would have ran out. Madkin has to be aware of that. It's not just a play, but the time. Well, I tell you what, that's going to help LSU. They got to have some motivation coming into halftime. They caught a break.
Could have just run out of bounds and attempted a field goal and made it a little closer. As it is, it's 10-5. LSU leading 11th-ranked Mississippi State at the break. Back to Reese and John. Just about set to go. Start of the second half with 11th-ranked Mississippi State taking on LSU. A couple surprises here, Todd Christensen. First of all, LSU out in front. Second of all, Josh Booty, not only has he not thrown an interception, he's been the better quarterback on the field tonight.
A couple of surprises indeed, Steve Levy. The fact that he's 8 for 11 for 77 yards. The one big play, of course, to his brother. Madkin, 9 of 18, 101 yards in that interception, but just some egregious decisions down the stretch. Timeouts that he didn't need to use, and of course, at the end of the first half, that was one he wishes he had back. Just an unconscionable decision as the clock runs out.
Night has fallen here in Starkville, Mississippi, and we're set to go. Second half action. Do we have an upset brewing? LSU will get the football. And they will start from their own 20-yard line with Dominic Davis takes a knee in the end zone. Let's go to Holly Rowe.
Guys, talking with the coaches at halftime, Jerry DiNardo said his first and only concern here in the second half is to fix the punting game and the problems they had in the first half. He's very pleased with their short passing game and the performance of Josh Booty. For Jackie Sherrill, he said their offense is not out of sync, that simply Madkin is making bad decisions. I said, will you put in Wyatt? He says probably here in the second half. And the team in the huddle said, let's not let this ruin our season. Let's stay undefeated.
All right, Holly, thanks. We'll look for that. LSU on 1st and 10 from the 20. Here is Josh Booty. And they pass, and it is knocked away, looking for Robert Royal. And that is interesting because that's on 1st down, LSU had gone 11 rush plays, only 2 pass plays. That time on 1st down, they were passing the football.
Trying to break things up. One of the things is you see the arrow pointing out LSU, as you pointed out, Steve, the least penalized team. Had 6 penalties in the first half. 3rd down conversions, 50%. Mississippi State. But the big issue right there really doesn't show up, and that's the mental errors by the quarterback, Madkin.
After the incomplete pass, 2nd and 10 from the 20. Booty will hand it to the right side to Rondell Mealy. Mealy got off to a terrific start to this football game, and they didn't go to him as much in the second quarter. Alvin McKinley on the stop.
And as you can see, Steve, 3rd and long coming up. The crowd is back into this. You can hear them. LSU very much needs here to convert this 3rd down, or this crowd is really going to get nuts.
The moon over Mississippi State. On 3rd down and 9. Two backs, wide receivers split. Here's Booty. They keep it back in for protection, and the pass not even close for Robert Royal, his intended receiver, and that's the Mississippi State defense that everyone expected to see from the start.
Josh Booty got some happy feet there, Steve. Rondell Mealy did a tremendous job of picking up the blitzing dog backer. Booty felt the pressure, backed up a little bit, threw off his back foot. He was low and short to Royal. The result, 3 and out.
Corey Gibbs to punt it away, and there's a problem with that punt as well. It landed at the 30-yard line, and it looks like it'll be down at the 44.
Steve, I think it hit his up back. You saw the referee go like this and clap his hands. I think it might have hit the butt of the up back, because that's the guy where his foot ended up hitting. Now watch the up back. Watch him scoot back and watch where he ends up hitting. Right here. His foot lands up. I'm sorry, it wasn't the up back. It was LeBlanc who is the up back on the other side.
Wayne Madkin is at quarterback. Holly mentioned we might see Matt Wyatt, and we still might see him, as Madkin is tripped up as he goes down to the ground. And a flag on the play. Sloppy start to this second half.
Seems only appropriate based on what's happened in the first half to Madkin that he would start off the way he has. As you take a look at some of the mistakes, the bobbles, the foibles of Wayne Madkin. Doesn't have what he wants, so he calls timeout. Has a wide open receiver to the post and just can't deliver it to him. And of course, the worst one was the end of the first half. Not being cognizant of the time, he throws the ball up, gets the interception, but even if it wasn't intercepted, the half is over, and they lose an opportunity for 3 points, which in a game like this, Steve, 10 to 5 points are very precious.
Nearly automatic and in the bank. There's the quarterback, the backup, Matt Wyatt, who did replace Madkin, started the second half and led them on a brilliant second half comeback. And we might yet see him. Chris Rainey carried that time, 5'8", 200 pounds. Johnny Mitchell the stop.
One of the downsides, Steve, of having a great running fullback, Justin Griffin, and a great pass catcher, he's a little bit undersized in terms of being a lead fullback at 5'11", 221 pounds. He's not the road grader of some of the 240 and 255-pound backs like Tommy Banks for LSU. The result there, bumps the man out of bounds. Rainey has no place to go. He loses yardage.
2nd and 6 now. 2 minutes into the second half. Out of the I formation. 2 receivers to the right. Wayne Madkin. And he gives it to Chris Rainey, who rumbles close to the first down. Rainey considered the most complete of all the Bulldog running backs. He's a senior, and therefore, as you expect, the most experienced member of that group.
And the reason he gets so much playing time, he's not maybe as athletic or quick as some of the others, but when they get into their shotgun and some of the run packages, he understands all the blitz pickups and things that some of the younger people, particularly Dante Walker, have not as yet been able to understand.
3rd and 1 from the 36. We're going to try Rainey again. He's met at the line of scrimmage. Bit of a second effort, but I think he's still short.
And I think it's 4-down territory here, Steve. 52-yard field goal makes sense. You got a punter who's got a foot who's hurting him. You've got an offensive line that averages per man 322 pounds. I don't think this is a big decision. I think they're going for it. And they're going with, I'm hearkening way back here, the 50s Los Angeles Rams, an elephant backfield. They're going with their big people. You saw that goal line set come in. Now the question always is, Steve, are they going to try and draw them off sides, or are they really going to go?
Griffith, Gibson, Williamson, the 3 fullbacks in the backfield. 4th time to try 4th down this season. And they got it. Fred Booker came up to make the stop. Rod Gibson of the 3 fullbacks, he's the one that got the football and the 1st down.
Porkchop Womack and Michael Fair are the ones that are able to get the push, enabling him to cut to the outside and get the 1st down. Good job by the left side of the offensive line. Porkchop Womack trying to follow in the footsteps of Robert Hicks, another all-SEC offensive lineman for the Bulldogs, now applying his trade in the NFL.
They say Porkchop will be playing on Sundays, but he is NFL caliber material. On the fresh side of downs, 1st and 10 from the 32. Off the play action, rolling, all sorts of time and space, and a bad decision there. Intercepted. Ryan Clark on the pick, his 1st of the season.
Ryan Clark was sitting in center field and absolutely read Madkin's eyes. Just a great job of seeing what Madkin is going to do. He rolls to the right. He has people crossing. Here's the thing, coming underneath and then coming across. Clark is here in the middle of the field. He's going to take a look at Madkin and read him perfectly. He reads his eyes, sees the receiver, just cuts right in front. Just a great job by Clark, eyeing Madkin and getting the pick for the Tigers.
And LSU will take over. That is the type of play Josh Booty had been making in recent weeks, but not tonight. Booty across the middle, connects. Able to hit Robert Royal, who was in double coverage. Royal making a play for his quarterback.
And Steve, just as you said that, I thought Pig Prather was in a position to make the interception. Joe Lee Dunn not very happy about it. Prather in position, but again, Royal, a backup tight end coming into this game, Steve, has made 3 big catches for the Tigers.
And Booty appears to gain confidence on every single pass play. And there you see the average. 15 yards, each toss to the tight end. The pitch to the right side to Rondell Mealy. And he's more than halfway to another 1st down. Toby Galladay got him.
Stephen, you get a sense here that Mississippi State's defense is frustrated over the inability of Madkin to convert something. They had a great opportunity, great field position. They have the ball moving down the field. Madkin just makes a bad decision. Now they seem a little bit frustrated, and it's affecting Joe Lee Dunn's group.
We asked Jackie Sherrill about being undefeated. Hey, is your team as good as advertised, 6-0? And he said, defensively, yes. And they're on the football field an awful lot so far tonight. They'll try the left side that time. Tim Nelson the stop on Rondell Mealy. Mealy the workhorse for LSU.
He's going to get the 1st down, though. Rondell Mealy is somebody who has had some great games in the past. He was an MVP of an Independence Bowl when he rushed for over 200 yards, had a number of 100-yard games when Kevin Falk was hurt. And I think that in his senior year, when he was finally going to shake the shadow of Kevin Falk and Cecil the Diesel Collins, he'd anticipated this was going to be his big year. But with 5 different offensive lines in the 7 games that they played, there's no continuity, and he has struggled as a result.
There's Madkin, the quarterback, some time to think about some of the poor decisions he has made so far. On 1st and 10, ball at midfield. Here's Booty on a straight drop. Steps up, rolling to his right, and he is tripped up for a loss of 3. Barris Grant got him.
If Barris Grant isn't able to get him, Booty's able to shake, contain, and he's got a lot of room to the outside. Once again, take a look as the pocket breaks down. Booty recognizes this is the experience. It's in on him, and he takes off, able to cut to the outside, but Grant with great speed is able to catch him by the shoe tops and drop him for a loss. Barris and Barron, two pretty tough linebackers for the Dogs.
2nd and 13. 3 wide receivers set for LSU. Booty from the shotgun. They're coming with the blitz, sees the pressure, trying to set up the screen, but excellent defense. Ashley Cooper read it all the way as they try to hook up with Mealy on the pass play.
And it was a good thing that Mealy just dropped the ball. If he's able to come up with that, it's going to be like about a 10-yard loss. So it's a good thing that he didn't catch the ball. Actually, Booty showed some poise there, just throwing the ball away. You can see him growing a little bit. He's starting to understand things a little bit better. Don't forget, he's 23, 24 years of age. You know, he did have all that time in pro baseball, but he has not had much experience on the football field, Steve.
Started 1 season at third base for the big club, for the Florida Marlins. Here, Bobby Bonilla came into the season injured. Played less than 20 big league games for the Marlins. Blitz, and he slips down. And that's not a bad play either, because he would have been devastated and crushed. Eugene Clinton on the pressure there.
Remember, Eugene Clinton is the one earlier who blocked the punt. He comes just completely untouched. Jolie Dunn is pushing all the right buttons right now. An interesting point with regards to Jolie Dunn. Did you notice, Steve, he doesn't have on the headset? He doesn't listen to anybody but himself.
Jolie's D, and more punting excitement as the punter was knocked down, nearly blocked. Corey Gibbs. Eugene Clinton was there as well.
Really ridiculous. There's no reason for this at all, Steve. He has no chance to block the punt. All he has to do is run past the punter. Instead, he makes the collision. They had terrible field position. He needs to stop. He needs to understand what he can and can't do.
We have 2 fouls, illegal formation, only 6 on the line of scrimmage by the offense, a 5-yard running into the kicker by the defense. Those fouls offset. We'll replay the 4th down.
The punt is a pretty standard, safe play. And yet tonight, every single punt has been an adventure.
Thomas Dunson has really been struggling, Steve, with the long snap to this point. This is about the 3rd one that has just been at his shoe tops. I don't know if he's being bothered by the collisions up the middle or whatever, but as a former snapper, I know sometimes you can get a little bit bothered by things you can't control. Let's see if this snap is a little bit better.
But from back in a hole, now they're snapping it from the 38. Pitch later is deep. And it's a good snap. Let's see if it bounces. Takes a pretty good LSU bounce. And Mississippi State will start 1st and 10 from their own 34. With 8:04 left here in the 3rd quarter after the 28-yard punt. Along with Todd Christensen and Holly Rowe, Steve Levy from Starkville, Mississippi. And a bit of a surprise developing here. LSU has looked very good tonight. And they have a 10-5 lead over Mississippi State. Yes, the Bulldogs with a safety here tonight. 1st and 10 for Mississippi State. Wayne Matkin remains at quarterback, and there's a safe play to hand off to Cenzo Miller, since Matkin's last 2 passes were both intercepted. We check in with Holly.
That last interception, Wayne Matkin went up to tight end Terrence McCaskey. He said, look, man, you got to help me out on those. You've got to get in the guy's face or come back for the ball. This is McCaskey's 1st game back from a broken wrist. He might be a little bit out of sync how to get up in a DB's face.
Holly, thanks. McCaskey is the player that all the Mississippi State coaches said was the player they least could afford to lose to injury. The team was just devastated. They're obviously thrilled to have him back here tonight. Got some misdirection, but they hand it off to Cenzo Miller for a bit of a gain there.
Well, one of the things here, Steve, is because when you're a tight end, okay, I'll talk from experience, you need to utilize your hands, obviously. You see that big cast on his wrist. When you come up underneath the pads and try and chuck, it's very difficult. You see the offensive lineman there, but here he's not used to that. He's a guy that catches the ball. My guess is he's not going to catch too many balls tonight, but first time back with that cast on his hand, it's got to be tough on him. It really is.
3 wide receivers in the pattern. 1 back behind Wayne Matkin. On 3rd and 3 from the 42. And the quick hitter up the middle. Kareem Mitchell to stop on Miller there. And some extracurricular activities after the whistle from Kareem Mitchell.
Not a very generous spot, and now we get a chance to see McCaskey at the point of attack. They run so many things wide and just off tackle. Now watch with the left hand if he's able to utilize things. He just catches him. Just catches Mitchell, and Mitchell's in on the play. That's absolutely awful. I mean, you got to do something. If he bumps Mitchell off at all, Steve, they're able to get the first down. Instead, they're going to have to punt.
Folks, this is no time to go to the refrigerator. Every punt has been an adventure here tonight, and Jeff Walker is in punt formation. He's 3 punts, averaging 32 yards a punt. And this one, without a problem. And it is down by Mississippi State by Jamal Dinkins. LSU will take over the football, and with it, a 10-5 lead here in the third. Under 6 to play here in the third. LSU leading 11th ranked Mississippi State 10-5. And it's time now for our Aflac trivia question of the night. Who has the longest tenure as a head coach in the SEC? And no, Todd, I'm not giving you any hints on this one. And stop cheating trying to look at my paper.
Johnny Vaughn.
1st and 10 from the 26. Try on the left side is Rondell Mealy. Fred Smoot came over to knock him off.
One thing about the defensive backs for MSU, you know, in this day and age, Deion Sanders has spawned the phrase cover corner. What in effect that means is, yeah, he covers, but he never hits anybody. The corners for MSU, they'll come up and hit you. Early in the game, remember, Steve, they were given like the 8-10 gap, which is enabling Booty to pad his stats. Now they clump a little bit, and they're hitting some people.
Mealy is carrying the load for LSU. They've rushed the ball 23 times. 19 times they've called Mealy's numbers. He's averaging just over 2 yards per carry, yet he seems more effective than that tonight. The pass from Booty is knocked away. He was looking to hook up with Jarrell Myers.
Myers as a young person needs to know when his quarterback is under duress. Take a look at the push in the pocket. Now Myers needs to look back. He hasn't even looked yet, and Booty's just getting the ball off. He is under some serious pressure as Alvin McKinley drops him.
Speaking of pressure, it was a very difficult week around Baton Rouge. Questioning the coach's future, a suspension for a player. One columnist who covers LSU wrote, since closing practices, LSU has scored 1 touchdown and has lost 2 games, a combined 62-15. Any chance of closing the game? Well, not here tonight when they have a lead. Booty again looking to loft one over the shoulder and hit Jarrell Myers, but not that time. Again, Smoot was right there with him.
But once again, with absolutely no time, Steve. They're coming from all angles. Joe Lee Dunn has made some adjustments at halftime. He's not going to let him roll out, go with the misdirection. He has the one dog safety coming off the corner, forcing him to have to step up and throw it. He wants to make a youngster who leads the NCAA in interceptions beat him.
Joe Lee was funny. He said, if it appears we have different looks on defense, the opposition thinks when they see the tape, it's not the case. It must be the guys playing out of position. They're playing the same defense. That punt without a problem, but it goes out of bounds at the 50-yard line. And that's where Mississippi State will take over on 1st and 10 when we come back, trailing by 5. Scott Field, home of the Bulldogs in its 85th year. They had 26,000 season tickets this season. That is a single season record. On 1st and 10, ball spotted at the 50, and the home team finds themselves trailing by 5. We approach the latter stage of the quarter number 3. Wayne Matt get all sorts of time rolling and running for his life. And he hit a man. Was he in bounds? Wow. They say yes. This is going to be some replay.
I got to tell you, the reason this is so significant, not just the great catch, but remember, this is a guy that's a converted quarterback, and I don't mean high school. I'm talking about junior college. He hasn't played the position that long. Take a look at the feet. Right at the bottom, is any part of his feet drag the grass? Oh, man, that's awfully close. Take another look. Right here, there's the left foot, just inside the marker.
I didn't think there was any chance watching it live that he was in bounds. What a play.
Well, again, that's a tough one to call. It happens so quickly, but as we pointed out, Kelvin Love is the big play man and has been all year long.
Picks up 26 yards on that catch. Love is the man they send in motion as they pitch it out to the right. He's going to throw it. Got a man, and it's knocked away.
Great play.
Chris Rainey threw it, was looking for Love, and Ryan Clark on the coverage.
Ryan Clark does a great job of not getting sucked up by the sweep fake. He plays center field and is able to regroup and be back there and almost come up with the interception. This is a great call, though, by Sparky Woods to shake things up. Go with the halfback pass, shake him up. You've got him on the ropes, but Clark is able to save the day. Now, right there, you know he's going to throw. He's going backwards. He has his hand on the ball, throws it. Clark goes up. Actually, that's a pretty good play at the end by Love to make sure he doesn't come up with the interception.
I give you looking for Love, and you don't give me in all the wrong places.
It's a football game, babe. Got to do the replay.
Here's the throw by Matkin. Flag, maybe 3 of them on the field at once. Looks like illegal motion.
I do understand, though, that his girlfriend's name is Christy.
Foul is a dead ball. False starts by the offensive line. 5 yards from the previous spot. Still second down.
Get Christy Love. Come on, where are you? Remember that old series?
Hey, I'm trying to do a football game here, okay?
Oh, gee, original comeback.
Didn't want to miss the official's call of that motion penalty. Matkin, look at this. All sorts of confusion. They try to snap the ball quickly, and LSU was not set.
Not only was LSU not set, Steve, I don't think they had the right number of people on the field. I think they might have got caught with a dozen on the field. You know, the one thing about Jerry, one of the things about Jerry DiNardo that I so appreciated, boy, is he candid. Didn't pull any punches. There's no coach speak with him. He tells it like it is, so to speak. Once again, there you saw the substitution penalty. Jerry DiNardo talked about his frustrations, talked about how difficult the week it was that Holly Rowe had documented earlier in the game, but nonetheless focused on the business at hand. I respect the way he
illegal substitution by the defense. 5-yard foul from the previous spot, end of the run. Still second down.
Last year was DiNardo's first non-bowl season for LSU since '94. They went 4-7, and 5 of the 7 losses were by 6 points or less. If you don't get a break when you're playing in the SEC, regardless of how many bowl seasons you've had in a row. What have you done for me lately? Out of the eye on 2nd and 5 from the 19. Breaking it is Dante Walker. He's inside the 5-yard line.
As was mentioned earlier, Dante Walker, they feel like once he gets some experience and understands the offense, is going to be the main man. 5'10", 221 pounds. He's going north and south, and right now he is the load, as Ryan Clark found out as he runs right over the top of him. Number 3 gets him a first down right at the 5.
That really hurts LSU in a number of ways. The Tigers really recruited him heavily and just couldn't get him. Dante Walker in the wrong uniform as far as LSU is concerned. And they try the fullback Griffith there to inch them closer to the goal line as we approach 4 minutes left, third quarter.
Forgive me, Steve, let me state the obvious here. Now that you've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,600 pounds in your offensive line, this is where it's a big advantage inside the 5. Other people stall. You could see right there, there wasn't much of an opening. Still Griffith able to get 4 yards.
There you see the big boys up front. They go 3 fullbacks again. Griffith, Gibson, and Williamson. Which one's going to get it? It's Griffith. It's a touchdown for Mississippi State. And for now, they go on top 11-10.
Well, here's the situation, Steve, where they're going to have, I would think that they're going to go for 2. You don't see the kicking team come out on the field. The reason for this, not just the obvious of 3 points, because I'm telling you right now, if it's 11-10 in the middle of the second quarter, go ahead and kick the extra point. Now, late in the game where points are the premium, this is where you do have to go for the 2-point conversion so a field goal can't beat you.
They line up for the 2-point conversion. Lofting towards the end zone and not even close. Matkin was looking for Love.
Now you saw Love point to the pylon. He was waiting for what they call the fake stop. He thought it was going to be thrown behind him. Instead he led him. He's supposed to throw behind it, let him jump. Instead he throws it out of the end zone. Nonetheless, the Chris Rock lookalike leads his team downfield. Now they lead for the first time.
And he can laugh a little bit more with a lead. We check in with Reese Davis.
Steve, last time out, Oklahoma gave up career win number 100 to Matt Brown. They appear to be in no mood to let R.C. Slocum hit the century mark. Josh Heupel going in for the second time is 27-0. Get this, Oklahoma's run 48 plays, just 12 for A&M.
All right, Reese, thanks. Wow, how about that one? 3:12 to go here in the third. And they're dancing on the Mississippi State sideline. As they take the field. Here's Holly on the field.
Okay. Hey, guys, let me tell you about that dance. It's called the Dog Pound Rock. The SEC has come out with a statement saying it's against NCAA rules to do a choreographed dance on the field. So the officials are going to flag them a 15-yard penalty if they do. So Mississippi State has made an adjustment. They're just doing it on the sideline. Everywhere they go, it's become a dance craze. Little kids around the state are actually doing it now. The hottest thing since the Dirty Bird.
Come on, Holly, what do you define as choreographed? I don't think Gower champion, you know what I'm saying, or Bob Fosse would have taken that one. I mean, that was a little bit spontaneous. It's fun to look at, though. It's rocking. Those are choreographers I think you would know, Steve.
Yeah, Broadway. I've seen a couple shows. Thank you. And we were set for the kickoff. And now we'll try it again.
Is it just me, or does that score look like a LCS baseball score, huh?
Just here.
Okay.
Little Mets Braves 15-inning game.
I'm telling you, yeah.
11-10.
Exactly.
Pitching a premium in baseball these days.
Amen.
The house is starting to rock once again. And the kickoff into the end zone. Jarrell Myers will bring it out of the end zone. Trying to make it pay off. They get it back to the 20, just with a little bit more pain that way. The last time Mississippi State beat LSU, you got to go back to 1991. Tied at 7 in the first half. Chris Stallworth recovers an LSU fumble. The quarterback, Sleepy Robinson, on the keeper. He was wide awake, taking it in from 16 yards out. And the Bulldogs had a 14-7 lead. And then in the second quarter, Robinson, the fullback, William Prince, for a 21-7 lead. LSU a 28-19 win over Mississippi State. That was back in 91. LSU's last loss here in Starkville was in 89, rather 84, I beg your pardon. As the pass play is completed to Jarrell Myers, and Smoot on the tackle. Once again, here's Holly.
A development for the Mississippi State quarterback situation. Wayne Madkin's finger is bothering him. They've got a hot pack around it. The doctor is trying to talk him out of the game. Madkin's trying to talk his way back in. But nonetheless, Matt Wyatt warming up on the sideline.
All right, Holly, thanks. Keep us posted on that developing situation with 2.5 left in the third.
Steve, that's big, simply because of the fact that that was the best drive that Wayne Madkin has had.
Here's Booty now. Hands off to Mealy. Not much as he tried the middle of the line. And the clock continues to roll.
Steve, it may not be imperative at this point, only trailing by 1, but LSU has been 3 and out an inordinate amount of times, especially here in the second half. They just have not been able to generate anything.
The LSU offense, when you look at them, the last 3 weeks, they've managed 22 points, 10 points, and 5 points a week ago, headed in the wrong direction. Of course, they have put 10 up on the board here so far tonight. Here's a 3rd and 2 now from the 28. Booty to pass. Was hit as he threw the football, and it falls down harmlessly to the ground. Willie Blade was there on the pressure.
Josh Booty in the second half, Steve, just has not had any time to throw it all. Coming right at you was Blade. He just stuffs Underwood, the center, right in the face of Booty. He deflects the ball. Now, Steve, 3 out of the 4 drives here in the second half have been 3 and out. And over the season, Steve, an interesting statistic in regards to Mississippi State, 47% of the drives Mississippi State has gone against have been 3 and out.
Another tricky snap to handle, but Gibbs gets it away. It bounces at the 44. Takes an LSU bounce. And Mississippi State will go to the offense looking to add to their 1-point lead. The answer to our Aflac trivia question. The question, who the longest tenure as a head coach in the SEC?
Yeah, who's smart guy? You said you knew.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier, of course. Everybody knew that. Florida in 1990. Actually, both head coaches in this game came into the SEC in 91. Jackie Sherrill joining Mississippi State, while Jerry DiNardo joined Vanderbilt in 91 before coming over here to LSU. Pass is completed to Larry Huntington, and Madkin has won the battle with the coaching staff, at least so far. Holly.
The problem with talking with the team doctor, Rusty Linton, is that his finger is numb. He has no feeling, and his biggest concern is he's not sure if he can grip the ball because he doesn't know if the ball is firmly in his grasp. They're going to give him a shot and see if he can do it.
17 yards on that last pass play.
If that throw is any indication, they'll give him more than a shot. He's going to keep his hand warm for as long as he can.
1st and 10, ball at the 44-yard line. And kickoff, it was 62 degrees here in Starkville, Mississippi. It was dipped well below that as night has fallen on Scott Field. Dante Walker there. Norman Lejeune on the stop.
Steve, the pouch that you see with Madkin down there by his stomach is a sort of pouch that you usually see in the games where it's, 30, 20 degrees, 10 below zero. Those sort of, you see those all the time in Green Bay and Buffalo, places like that. Certainly here you're saying to yourself, what's the deal? Well, having that steel pin when you get cold, you're going to get numb a lot quicker. And so I think this is one of the things that they decided to do is say, hey, look, let's make sure we can keep it as warm as possible. And that will certainly help alleviate some of the problems of the stiffness in that finger.
Could be their final play of the quarter. Madkin to throw. Had some zip on that football as he was looking for C.J. Sermons.
Pretty good throw in the middle. He was really hoping that Sermons was able to come up with that one. That had some zip on it too, Steve. That was no marshmallow.
11 seconds left in the third quarter.
Take a look. He stands right in the pocket. Drills it on the money. Sermons, oh, that's a catchable ball. He needs to come up with that ball. Sermons, a freshman, needs to get the feel. He can't just sit down. He needs to slide to his quarterback because the quarterback's leading him into the ball.
3rd and 12 now from the 46. From the shotgun, Madkin calling signals at the 50. Throws, and another drop. That time the usually sure-handed fullback, Justin Griffith.
Well, we were giving grief to Madkin in the first half, justifiably so, but now in this case it's certainly his receivers. Sermons had a catchable ball, and of course Griffith maybe would not have had the first down, but you can see his eyes come off the ball because he wants to head upfield first. The result now is 4th down at the 46.
Jeff Walker standing at his own 40-yard line.
Steve, this will perpetuate the field position, which has been so poor for LSU here in the second half.
High spiraling kick. Dominic Davis will let it bounce, and it is down by Mississippi State.
Well, they're going to call it a touchback.
Wow.
Steve.
I thought they got it just prior to hitting the goal line, but they do call it a touchback. Sean Birdsong was right there. And so LSU will start 1st and 10 from the 20. And this, the 93rd meeting all time between LSU and Mississippi State. Jerry DiNardo's team still in it. There's a good look at the LSU 20-yard line, and that's where they'll start from as we start quarter number 4. Starkville, Mississippi, in a one-point football game. Josh Booty going up top, looking for a man, and he's got him. It's the freshman Jarrell Myers on the big gain to get him out of trouble. Robert Bean was there to make the stop after the catch. We check in with Reese Davis.
Steve, Clemson and Florida State. Woodrow Dantzler standing in at quarterback looking for Rod Gardner. He'd find him. Tigers on top 7-3. They're back deep in FSU territory, but Dantzler's down. Just took a big hit. And check out this score. Texas A&M just absolutely having a can of whooping opened up by Oklahoma.
All right, Reese, thanks. Already this is an improvement for LSU. As Neely looks to break one up the middle, he's across midfield and stopped at the 43. The last 2 LSU possessions, they've gone 3 and out. Here they've got consecutive first down plays.
One of the things that happens here when you have an aggressive defense is that they over-pursue. Watch, all the shirts are going to go to the one side, and Mealy is able to cut back against the grain. And once he does, there are no maroon shirts because they've all gone to the point of attack. Does a great job of breaking the tackle of Cooper to get him some extra yards. 2 back-to-back plays that are huge here for the Tigers. For an offense that's been non-existent, Steve, in the second half.
Mealy, 84 yards last week to become only the 8th running back in school history, 2,000 yards rushing. And he's adding to his totals tonight. Looking to jump by number 7, Brad Davis on the list. It was Mealy again. Alvin McKinley on the tackle.
This moribund offense now seems to be opening up. That first throw for Booty was absolutely huge to get his confidence and the offense's confidence back in this. I mean, the 11-10 might be a little deceptive the way Mississippi State dominated the third quarter, but, you know, their lies, damn lies, and statistics.
2nd and 7 now. 2 wide receivers out to the left of Josh Booty. Mealy the lone back. Booty hit as he throws.
That's unbelievable.
And complete.
That's unbelievable.
What a play to Abram Booty, and who would know him better but his baby brother.
That's not where he's throwing, Steve. He's throwing underneath to the other. He's throwing to the other receiver. He's got a guy right in his face. He's throwing to the first receiver. He gets absolutely whacked. The ball goes through his hand into Booty, and Booty has the wherewithal to come up with a catch. He's trying to throw the first receiver. Instead, Booty's able to come up with a great job of having your hands underneath and making sure of the catch.
And terrific job by Josh, the quarterback. Tough to step up. Pressure on him immediately. He was able to make a strong throw. Mealy again, that time stopped by Ashley Cooper. As the clock continues to run, we're 2 minutes into quarter number 4.
Steve, the only drive, it seems to me, of consequence that LSU has been able to put together was their first one, the one that went some 72 yards for a touchdown. Now they're doing it again. John Corbello, the field goal kicker for LSU, number 40, is somebody right now who has to be paying attention. He has to be involved in this, and I don't know about putting on gloves at this point, but regardless, he's somebody that has to be involved and has to be ready, because this is going to be a very big kick if indeed they stall and have to kick a field goal.
Corbello hit a 43-yard field goal last week. That was the longest in his career. Booty thrown to the sideline and nearly intercepted. Fred Smoot was there, as he has been all night.
Once again, backpedaling and throwing off his back foot. He has no juice on the ball, and you're right. Smoot makes a nice play. Lucky to get that ball back. Take a look. He's backing up, a little bit sidearm, and of course there's going to be nothing on that ball. Smoot hustles up and tries to make the play, but it's out of bounds.
Brings up a 3rd down for LSU, and it wasn't that long ago LSU was 3 for 3 on 3rd downs. Well, they're 0 for their last 7. Now 3 for 10 in the game on 3rd down conversion.
Steve, I like a draw play here. Set up your field goal kicker.
From the 32, out of the eye, they pitch it. Nearly nothing doing. Tim Nelson met him in the backfield.
Steve, the reason I said that is because they are very conscious of on the wings, going outside in. Jolie Dunn does a great job of having his dog linebacker come up the field, and now as a result, LSU, Steve, is out of field goal position. You go between the tackles, maybe you don't get something, but you're still in field goal position. As a result of the tackle on Mealy, drop for the loss, they're going to have to punt.
Corey Gibbs is back to punt it away from the 50. Gets it off. Wow, what a punt! Bounce, and it goes out at the 2-yard line.
Witten is the one who was able to get it out in the coffin corner at the 2-yard line. Terrific punt.
Corey Gibbs had been punting all night for LSU, but that's Jeremy Witten. He is the designated pooch punter. Got his first action last week against Kentucky. Put one on the 1-yard line, and look what he has just done to Mississippi State. He puts them on the 2. LSU's net punting had been 12.2 yards average. Witten got 38 net average on that punt. Here's Matkin thrown out of his own end zone and looking for a big play for Kelvin Love. The crowd wants a pass interference penalty, and they won't get the call.
Might have been just a little bit early, but this is a good call because you force the defensive backs to cover so much of the field. Love, as we mentioned over and over again, a big play man, but we have to give credit here where credit is due. Take a look. Has his eye on it right at the end. It's a good non-call. You can hear the boos in the background, but a good call by the official. Lou Tepper, got to give him his due, Steve. The defense for LSU has been terrific tonight. 51 plays, only 211 yards, 4 yards of play. That's outstanding.
Swing Long pass looking to get out of the end zone to Larry Huntington. And that is incomplete. It'll bring up a 3rd down from the 2-yard line.
Pressure right here is going to be on Jeff Walker, because if they don't get any more yardage, he is going to have his heels on the back end of the end zone as the punter. Mackin at this point 11 for 25, 2 interceptions, under 50%. Again, you got to give some credit to that beleaguered defense of LSU. They're playing their hearts out.
3 for 11 tonight on 3rd down conversion. They go play action, not sure what for, and they throw, and it was way too far for Larry Huntington, and good coverage on the play by a couple of LSU's defensive backs, including Fred Booker.
Steve, you have to second-guess Sparky Woods here for this reason. This is one of the reasons why you have the big bodies up front, is that when you have a problem, you can at least eke out a couple of yards, give your punter some room. Now Jeff Walker's going to have his heels on the back, and 2 points here, Steve, is absolutely huge in a game like this. So he's going to have to be careful.
We've seen a safety earlier in this one. Just about every punt has been an adventure in tonight's game. There you see Walker with his feet on the end line. And that one is blocked as well. In the end zone, waiting for the indication. Clarence LeBlanc on it. And now a discussion in the end zone.
Steve, here's the situation. It is a touchdown.
Touchdown, LSU!
Jeff Walker took 3 steps. You take 3 steps if you've got 15 yards. If you've only got 12, you're going to be that much closer to the line of scrimmage. That extra step enabled LSU to block the kick. Take a look right here. Take a look at the steps he takes. 1, 2, 3. Right into the armpit. If he only takes 2 steps, he's able to get the punt off. Instead, he takes his normal 3 steps. The block point is that much closer at the attack. And there it is. There it is. LeBlanc able to come up with a big play. LeBlanc, their leading tackler on the season. Big play defensive end, comes up with a huge play.
16-11. There is a flag on the field.
Now, Steve, you saw on the sidelines Jerry DiNardo pointing up with the 1. And that makes no sense. There's no point at this. You need to go for the 2-point conversion with 11 and a half minutes left in the game.
That was a dead ball. Illegal substitution. The offense broke the huddle with 12 players. 5 yards from the previous spot. Retry the point.
Not a big deal, because you're going into the end. You're throwing into the end zone anyway, right?
Right. But that was part of the confusion, I'm sure, with the extra player.
Well, that's the head coach getting excited over a play. He holds up the 1 finger and then realizes, wait a minute, 1 point doesn't do us any good. And in the middle of it, ready to kick. Oh, wait, I changed my mind. No, wait, hustle, hustle.
The punting tonight, every single play. We had 3, 4 low snaps, couple of blocks, penalties in the punt. And they want some time to talk it over. Obviously, a pivotal point in the football game. LSU calls timeout, leading by 5. Steve Levy, Todd Christensen, Holly Rowe from Starkville, Mississippi State, where LSU has a pretty good-sized upset brewing. Up by 5. There's still an awful lot of time left here in the 4th quarter. After the block punt for a touchdown, this is your 2-point conversion. Josh Booty to throw. And it is knocked away. He was looking for his brother Abram Booty, and it was batted away, and so this will stay a 5-point game. Jerry DiNardo in his 5th year at LSU had come under some fire, some speculation. His job was in jeopardy, despite the fact that he's got some 4 years left on his contract after this season. And this is how he opened up his weekly Tuesday press conference with this statement. And as you read it, you get the idea. He knows what's going on. He realizes the situation he and his program is in. And what happens when you stop winning football games on a regular basis?
The thing about that, Steve, is I like the fact that he doesn't duck the obvious. So many times coaches will go into a shell, kind of a bunker mentality, and not acknowledge what is happening.
I don't read the papers. I don't listen to talk radio.
Exactly right, please.
I've never seen SportsCenter before.
Yeah,
what is that?
Well, that part I can believe.
Well, appreciate that.
Some of those anchors, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll tell Dan you said in regards.
What are you talking about? Me and Dan, we's tight.
LSU will kick it off from the 35. Larry Huntington and Dante Walker. Deep for Mississippi State. It is Huntington from the 8. They're going to give Mississippi State some field position, and he's done a pretty good job with that. Just about out to the 30-yard line. Another one of my SportsCenter colleagues. Here's Reese Davis.
I don't care what Todd says about me, Steve. Clemson and Florida State, last time we checked, Woody Dantzler was down. He is not out. Over the top, and I guess it's too late for Bobby Bowden to send Tommy to his room. Tommy on top, 14-3.
Wouldn't that be something?
I tell you what, the mom could spank. And the reason I say that is because I noticed they asked her where she was going to be. All right, I'm in the Florida State section. Don't even come with that.
Here's Mississippi State now. The crowd, you hear them almost, as you can hear a shot. On 1st and 10 from the 29. They stay with Wayne Madkin, and he stays on the ground with the Senzo Miller. Fred Booker, the stop for LSU.
Plenty of time. This is where those big people we made reference to, Steve, need to take over. Need to create some holes so they can enable Wayne Madkin to get with some of the play-action passes that were effective earlier.
Not a bad down for play action on 2nd and 3 from the 36. They send the man in motion, and they do hand it off. It's Miller again, and little inches closer to the first down before Thomas Dunson made the stop.
I tell you what, and Dunson, remember, he's the long snapper. Rarely do you see this, Steve, even in college football anymore, where a guy who's actually playing in the game does the long snapping. That might be a reason for some of the low snaps, because now most of the batteries around major college football are guys, that's all they do.
3rd and short from the 37. Out of the eye, 2 receivers split out to the right. This time they go play action on a heavy rush. He gets it away, and it was nearly intercepted. Robert Davis nearly picked it off, and he would have had some running room if he would have made the catch.
Well, Madkin gets absolutely pulverized from the backside on a safety blitz. Coming completely untouched is Norman Lejeune. Well, untouched, I say there's McCaskey again, and the problem with having the wrist the way it is, he's no help at all. Steve, that's a Matador thing. Your quarterback's not going to appreciate that at all, as he gets his helmet right in the middle of his number 9.
Here's Jeff Walker on to punt it away, standing at his own 22-yard line. And hey, a punt without incident. Fair catch is called for from Dominic Davis, and LSU will take over at the 15-yard line. November '96, Jackie Sherrill's job as head coach was in jeopardy when a 3-5 Mississippi State team entered the game against 8th-ranked Alabama. Reginald Kelly would rumble 69 yards, set up a Brian Hazelwood game-winning field goal. Hazelwood from 39 yards away would connect. The defense would hold on. Mississippi State would beat Ole Miss 2 weeks later to finish 5-6. Sherrill stayed. The Bulldogs won 7-4 the next year, 8-5 the year after that, including a berth in the SEC championship game.
Steve, I happened to be there for that feel-good field goal. And I tell you what, it was very entertaining, because at the end of the game, they tore out the goalposts and took them down the street. And I remember I was there down by the broadcast truck. I said, "What'd you guys do?" He says they weren't used to that. You can see before and after Sherrill, the things that he has done at Mississippi State. It's been outstanding. Bowl games, winning seasons, and the wins over Ole Miss, which are crucial here in this state, as this state has become a hotbed for football, Steve. The 3 schools in Mississippi all ranked in the top 25.
But DiNardo feeling the pressure, and hopefully will have some patience with them. The Mississippi State defense comes up big there. Rondell Mealy stopped immediately by Ashley Cooper.
Ashley Cooper comes from his safety position and sprints right over the fullback to make the tackle. This comes right over the top and is able to drop Mealy, and now 3rd and long again, and Josh Booty has to make a play, Steve.
They keep going back to the Jackie Sherrill 1-10 lifetime against LSU. Well, DiNardo is 4-0 lifetime against Mississippi State. Looking to keep that streak alive. 16-11, 8.5 to play. There's a 3rd and 7 from the 18. Josh Booty played a strong game. throwing across the middle, had a man, but there was some miscommunication as Jarrell Myers went out and the pass went in.
Steve, the offense for LSU in the second half, 4 out of the 6 drives have been 3 and out. They have 67 total yards, and yet, because of the block punt, they're still up 16-11.
Corey Gibbs standing on the 5-yard line. Again, Jeremy Whitten is their pooch punter, but this is not a pooch type situation. Wow, a booming punt for Corey Gibbs, and it is juggled at the 25-yard line. And finally it is picked up, and out of bounds is Pig Prather.
Well, he has struggled up to this point with only a 12-yard net, but he had an absolute bomb this time. 56-yard punt. Finally, the field position switches back to the Tigers.
Can't help but think about last year's meeting. Mississippi State was 3-0 in conference play. They'd never been 4-0, and they were hammered by LSU 41-6 in Baton Rouge. Here they are 3-0 again in conference, trying to go 4-0 for the first time in the SEC, and they find themselves trailing by 5 with just over 8 minutes to play. And Mississippi State has the football. They operate from their 35. Mackin, the quarterback, complete, missed tackle as he was able to hit Kenny Williamson. Broke one tackle, but not another.
Steve, with that throw, Madkin is now 12 for 28 in the second half. The Mississippi State offense has only garnered 94 total yards here in the second half. So once again, you know, we talked about LSU losing their 2 best players, the fact that they've had disruptions all over the place, suspensions, things of that nature, but give credit to their defense. They have really hung in there tonight and done an excellent job.
2nd and 5. 2 receivers split out to the right, and in the I formation. Mackin will keep it on the ground at Chris Rainey. Takes a couple of tackles, and he's out to the 45.
Steve, you'd have gone even farther if he hadn't run into the back of his center, Paul Mooney. The 6'8", 333-pounder just couldn't quite get out of the way. Hits him in the back and stumbles forward, though, enough to get the first down.
Mooney's got the good lower trunk. That's the word from the coaching staff. Real agile on the bottom, but up top, hey, the guy's 6'8". Tough to get around that in certain movements and motions the center wants to make.
In the locker room, we used to refer to that as a squatty body. But unfortunately, in his case, it's 6'8". How can he be a squatty body?
It would be hard to tell him that. Rainey, 6 carries for 12 yards so far.
Oh, no.
And a timeout, Mississippi State. With 7:35 left, they have 2 remaining. How crucial will that timeout be? We'll find out. Well, what would you expect? Mississippi State 3-0 in conference. LSU 0-4 in conference. Of course the Tigers are leading by 5 late in the 4th quarter. College football. The Bulldogs have it. 1st and 10 from their own 45. Out of the first set, 2 wide receivers split out to the right of Wayne Madkin. And the running back changes directions. It's Chris Rainey. Started right and then went to his left. Mississippi State, they have never been 7-0 to start a season. Back in 1940, they did start 7-0-1 and finished 10-0-1. The Tide getting in the way there. But they have never been 7-0 to begin a year. And they have never been 4-0 in SEC play. They are the defending SEC Western champions. Under 7 to play. Fumble off the exchange from center. And Madkin recovers it. That would have been quite the costly turnover.
Well, with 6:45 and running, this is not the time to do that. And now you've got 3rd and long where play action isn't going to make any sense. Jackie Sherrill, very cognizant of the time, saying, hurry up, hurry up. Because the way this game is going, one drive is going to be a big issue. And once again, they're going to have to call timeout.
Well, timeouts have really been an issue for Mississippi State. They called 2 early on in the first half, and now 2 here in the 4th quarter with a lot of time remaining. Coming up next here on ESPN2, our pals Mark Jones and Mike Golick. They're standing by in Laramie, Wyoming. They'll bring you Colorado State against Wyoming Colorado State led by Kevin McDougal, while the Cowboys will look the wide receiver Wendell Montgomery and the linebacker Rick Kroll for the big play. ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Colorado State, Wyoming, that's coming up next.
Do you have the temperature on that card, what it is in Laramie tonight?
No, what would be your guess be? Al Roker, give me one. What do you think? You were telling me night game in Laramie.
I'm thinking 40s and 30s, wind chill. Hope the boys have on some jackets.
We saw Wyoming earlier in the season. You said that's one of the great places to play in college football.
Really is. A story that I had when I was at Brigham Young University years ago. I remember warming up, going out to catch passes and warm-ups. Just as I reached back, hit 3 snowballs right in my face. So I'm looking over at the policeman waiting for him to do something. He looked at me like, hey, you got a problem with that? You're in cowboy country, Holmes.
Word is it's a balmy 50 degrees in Laramie.
Wow.
That's the report we're getting.
Downright tropical.
3rd and 9 from the 46-yard line. Matkin out of the shotgun. 3 wide receivers. Here's Matkin. He's got some time. Steps up and fires. And a great leaping catch there by Terrell Grindle. He's got the first down and then some. Forced out at the 35-yard line. Grindle going up the ladder to make the grab.
Great protection on the part of the offensive line, giving Matkin plenty of time to throw. And as you pointed out, Grindle able to come up and make the catch. Take a look at the pocket and how it forms, and no one's really close to Matkin. Able to stand in there and deliver the ball. Plenty of time, not even touched. Well, that's a great job by the offensive line, and Grindle shows his hops and comes down with the ball. Big play for MSU there on 3rd and long.
The true freshman goes 5'10". It's a pickup of 20 yards on the play and a fresh set of downs. On 1st and 10, they'll put it in the air again. Matkin, the throw, tipped ball and nearly intercepted. 3 white jerseys, only 1 maroon one there, and Robert Davis knocked it away.
You made a good point, Steve, earlier. What's the deal with play action? They have not been running effectively, so play action makes no sense. The safeties here aren't going to bite. Here comes Love on the post pattern. Look at the white shirts. They didn't bite at all. He throws into nearly triple coverage. You can see right there, nothing but white shirts. Lucky he got that one back. We pointed out Lou Tepper last year took a lot of grief for the conservative nature of his defenses, but certainly tonight he should be congratulated with how effective these young Tigers have been.
2nd and 10 to the 32. Out of the shotgun, Matkin. They keep the backs in for protection. Puts it up in the air. Got a man's caught. Now they say incomplete, but there is a flag on the play.
Steve, I'm thinking that this is going to be offense. You can see the arm extended by number 22. I'm thinking that that's what the call is going to be. They're going to catch Huntington for pushing off. Wow, really? No. No. Take a look at the right arm of Huntington. He's trying to keep the man at bay. Watch the right arm right there. Look, he's pushing him off right there. He pushes him.
That was pass interference by the defense.
That's tough. Look at the right hand right there. He's pushing him off.
Followed by 1st down.
Boy, that's a poor call. Ryan Clark got jobbed there. That's unfortunate.
10th penalty of the night against LSU. Total of 66 yards it cost them on the night.
Well, Ryan Clark has had an outstanding game, Steve. Done a great job being in center field, with the noted exception of that one throw when Matkin wasn't able to deliver the ball. He's done an outstanding job in the secondary and playing not only center field, but man-for-man coverage in that case.
And he has the interception tonight as well. 1st and 10 from the 19. Matkin will put it on the ground this time, and it's Chris Rainey banging ahead for about 8 yards on the play. And they approach the 10-yard line. Robert Davis finally put a lick on him.
This is important here for LSU to not get frustrated. Maybe the call didn't go their way, but they can't fold their tent. They can't have any self-pity here. If they can force MSU into field goal, that would be a major victory for the defense. And Steve, with the clock at 5:40 and running, that's something that MSU will have to do if they don't get it here. This is not automatic, have to go into the end zone time.
2nd and 2, take a shot. No, you give it to Rainey, and there's not much there. Rainey going into that carry at 8 carries for 21 yards, and that'll hurt his 3-yard average.
And Muskingum Barn is the guy who was able to make the penetration, come up the middle of the field. He's in that up position, and Mooney can't do anything with him. He comes in the gap. That's a great penetration, dropping Rainey for a big loss now. 3rd and about 5.
He'd been averaging 3 yards a carry. That's a loss of 3 yards on the play. And it will bring up a 3rd and 5 from the 14-yard line. Bulldogs trail by 5. 2 wide receivers out to the left. Matkins gives it to Rainey, and I think he is short of the first down.
Now, this is an interesting decision, and here's why, Steve. If he gets stuffed, right? If he gets stuffed, they kick a field goal. Instead, he gets close. Now it's decision time. He's got 4th and 1. Are they going to go for it? It appears that they are, as they come in with more of the big bodies. Been very effective, Steve, in their 3 fullback formation in getting the first downs and the touchdowns.
So it's a 4th and 1. The ball spotted just outside the 10-yard line. Rainey has 15 yards this drive. They have Griffith and Williamson in the game. 2 fullbacks.
They're not going with the 3 fullbacks.
Pitch to the left, and it's Griffith, and he's got it. First down for Mississippi State, and the crowd roars their approval, and the decision made by their head coach.
Steve, it appeared that Clarence LeBlanc had made a great play. He makes initial contact well behind the first down marker, but the second effort, he's able to get the first down. Watch number 18. He's going to come up to the point of attack, get through the blockers. Watch the collision right there, but he's off balance. He can't wrap up. And the result is a first down for MSU.
Second time they've gone for it on 4th down tonight. Both times Jackie Sherrill's made the right call. They're 2 for 2 in 4th down conversions. They keep it on the ground. Justin Griffith with a small gain there. Coming up just as soon as we get out of here, we'll send you to Colorado State and Wyoming. That's coming up next. More college football for you here on ESPN2.
I genuinely believe, Steve, one of the hardest things is when you have 1st and goal at around the 8 or 9. What do you do? Do you run? Do you play? What do you do? It becomes difficult. I think they're going to have to throw here on 2nd down.
A little tough to pass with this short field from the 7. They run, trying the right side, and it's a pickup of a yard, maybe 2 on the play. Rod Gibson stopped by Ryan Clark. Justin Griffith, rather.
Steve, I don't understand that, because now you're less than 3 minutes. This is a situation to where you need to have a little bit more tension and a little bit more urgency to get in. Take a look at the strength of the left arm of number 95, Johnny Mitchell. He helped stop him. Now, 3rd down and 6, they've got no choice but to throw into the end zone. And then with the clock stopped at somewhere in the 2 teens or the 220s, you kick the field goal and trust your defense, and you go for it.
LSU has 2 timeouts remaining. Mississippi State just 1. Griffith has 3 straight carries. He's now out of the game. To pass. Screen out to the right. There's running room. Can he get in? No indication yet. And they're saying he's short of the goal line. Rod Gibson, and LSU's defense has held for now.
Well, this is a great open field tackle. You heard the crowd go nuts, and really it appeared like one-on-one his big body was just going to carry him into the end zone.
Well, we told you they're 2 for 2 on 4th down conversions. They're going to try to go 3 for 3. They go back to the 3 fullbacks, Todd, that you alluded to. Griffith, Gibson, and Williamson, all in the football game. 4th and goal from the 1. Waiting for the signal, and they give him a touchdown. It comes late, the indication, but Rod Gibson in the end zone. Touchdown, Mississippi State.
Steve, I'm not sure that his knee didn't hit the ground. That maybe what they saw when it came across is that they come in and they see the ball across the goal line. I'm just not sure that if his knee didn't hit the ground first. We'll get a chance to see it from the end zone, and a flag is down. I think there might be some excessive celebration, which could be a big deal, Steve, because you know right here at 17-16, they've got to go for 2. Okay, I'm thinking right now that that's what they're thinking is that the unsportsmanlike is because they thought his knee was on the ground and he didn't make it, and he was able to sneak it over.
By the defense, the penalty is half the distance to the goal on the try.
17-16. Mississippi State the touchdown from Rod Gibson. They will go for 2 with 1:39 to play here in the 4th quarter. Again, looking ahead, LSU has 2 timeouts remaining. And a timeout has been taken, and that is Mississippi State's last timeout.
Okay, first of all, let's take a look at the throw on the 3rd down. It looked for all intents and purposes that this was going to be easy money, that Gibson was going to get into the end zone, but that's a great open field tackle there by, I believe that was Davis. Now he's a little bit short. The ball comes out, he rolls over, but it was a good call by the official. He didn't get into the end zone.
Here's Reese Davis. Reese.
Steve, we're about ready to get underway at War Memorial Stadium in Laramie, Wyoming. Electing to receive after Colorado State deferred its choice until the 2nd half. You see the ball being driven into the end zone by C.W. Hurst, and Wyoming will go on offense behind Jay Stoner, and we'll get you out to Laramie just as soon as you guys finish up with a thrilling finish in Starkville.
All right, Reese, thank you.
Now on fourth down, let's take a look at what I was trying to mention. You can see in the backfield there's a little discombobulation. Now watch his knee and watch whether or not he gets across the plane of the goal. He collides with his own man. Look right there. It appears right there that he's down. It appeared that his feet were down, but he rolls over and he's in the end zone.
And again, the late indication for the touchdown. They finally sorted out, and they give him 6. 14 plays, 65 yards in 6.5 minutes, the longest drive of the game for Mississippi State.
Now here's something else that's significant, Steve. With the penalty, half the distance to the goal, they're on the 1-yard line. So they can easily run here, where at the 2.5-yard line, you're thinking that you have to throw.
2 fullbacks in the game, Williamson and Griffith. And Metcalf just called timeout, and I don't believe they have any left.
He doesn't have one.
They don't have any timeouts left.
Chris Webber, NCAA Finals,
Absolutely.
North Carolina. I don't think there is such a thing as a technical foul, though, in football. So that has to be a penalty for motion. Or delay a game. Here's the thing. How costly is that? Because you're on the 1-yard line.
Wow.
I mean, seriously, Steve, they could have put in their 3 fullback package and run the thing again from the 1-yard line. That play was big. Now instead,
still try for points.
Boy, it's been an up-and-down game from Madkin. He's playing in pain. The finger has got to be affecting him, yet his throws, for the most part, have been on the money. He had some questionable decision-making and working the clock management as well. And it can't all be put on the young quarterback. Some of that's got to fall on the coaching staff.
It certainly does. You're right. He has to be aware of a lot of different factors, not simply just relay the plays. He's got to know that he has to work on his gamesmanship, no doubt.
So this is a 2-point conversion now. Madkin to throw. Screen out to the left. And there's no chance of getting the 2 points there as DeCenzo Miller made the catch, and he was stopped at about the 4-yard line. This sets up to be quite the finish. With 1:39 left, LSU will get the football down 1 with 2 timeouts.
Now look at the collision in the backfield. Take a look. He's going to get the ball. Once again, that's Rod Gibson. Now watch his knee. Take a look. He collides there with Griffin. Now, is his knee on the ground? Is he in the end zone right there? It appears that his knee is just a little bit, it looked like it was an iffy situation. Take another look. Take a look at Gibson. Is he in the end zone as he goes down? He is not. He is not. The ball hits the ground before the goal line, and he rolls over, and the official gives it to him. One more angle of the play. He hits down. He's short of the goal line, and he rolls it across. Boy, that's tough. One more time. Take a look. Now watch here. Watch right here. Watch where the ball hits the ground right there. You can see right there with the shoulder. The ball hit the ground short of the goal line. LeBlanc saw it. He says it's no good. The official comes in and gives them a gift touchdown. That's one of those situations. It's Murphy's Law as it applies to LSU. The defense playing so well, and then a call like that has to go against them.
They deserve a better fate. Undermatched, overwhelmed here tonight, and yet hanging around. Down 1, 1:39 to play. Davis and Myers are deep for LSU. And here's the kick. It's a short kick, picked up at the 15 by Davis. And he carries it out just past the 20-yard line. And LSU will take over with 92 seconds left. and they have 2 timeouts to use as they move down the field or attempt to.
Steve, every drive for LSU here in the second half has ended in a punt. Josh Booty at this point, for whatever conservatism has been his up to this point, he has to make plays now. He has to let it all hang out.
Underway, and Laramie again will take you there. It's as soon as this candy is done. 1st and 10 from the 25. Booty from the shotgun. And it is a deep shotgun. Low snap. He's got it. Booty to throw and connects. It's Jarrell Myers. Loose football. Who's got it? Mississippi State does.
Steve, I think that the officials called it dead. You see the one official right here coming in, pointing down. They'd called it dead early on. That was one of those forward progress things. And LSU is going to hang on to the ball. And, of course, you can see Jerry DiNardo saying, hustle up, because the clock's going to run here as soon as they sort this out.
And if it is forward progress on that, then he had enough for the 1st down as well.
Nice job. Plants, makes the catch. He's in the air, goes down. The knees are down. Good call by the official. The knees were down.
From the 35 now. And now they'll wind the clock. Ticking it down from a minute 19. Pressure. Booty gets rid of it. The throw, it is complete. It's Jarrell Myers again across midfield, and here come the Tigers.
And Steve, Fred Smoot came up in a press position. He was all over him, man for man. Bumped him at the line of scrimmage, was grabbing him, trying to dominate the 5'11", 165-pounder. Booty once again throws off his back foot in anticipation, and the youngster makes a great catch.
If you're thinking about it, down by 1 point, John Corbello is the field goal kicker for LSU. His long is 43 yards. Tonight, he is 1 for 1, connecting from 36 yards away.
Steve, the clock isn't running. The MSU people were pointing up saying, why isn't the clock running?
Here's Booty under center, taking the snap that time. Throws. It's intercepted. The Booty bugaboo bites him with 59 seconds left in the football game. He's picked off for the first time tonight, and it comes at a most inopportune time. Pig Prather on the interception for Mississippi State.
Given the circumstances of this game, Steve, I really felt like Josh Booty had played very, very well. He had come out, done what was asked of him under all sorts of duress. Arguably one of the 2 or 3 best defenses in the United States, had been able to avoid that up to this point. But here he tries a little bit too hard, throws the ball behind, and Pig Prather, the converted tailback, the sophomore free safety, steps in, makes a huge interception.
Booty, as we told you, had been picked off 11 times coming into action tonight, the most by any one quarterback in Division 1A college football. His 4th start, he was intercepted 3 times in each of his previous 3. That is the first one he's been picked off tonight, and it comes at a terrible time for LSU. There was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty at the end of the interception, and Mississippi State will take over. LSU has 2 timeouts left, and the Bulldogs will take a knee, and they'll use 1 timeout here. Again, 52 seconds from now, we'll send you to Mark Jones and Mike Golick in Laramie, Wyoming. Colorado State, Wyoming, they are just underway, scoreless early. And we'll send you there as soon as we are through here in Starkville.
One more time, you get a chance to look at the go-ahead score. Watch number 33. Watch his right shoulder at the end. He has his ball. The ball is in that hand. Look at him as he falls down. Clearly, he is short of the goal line right there. But the officials are coming from the side here. They're coming from this side, and they're coming from this side. In the midst of all of the people, they can't see. And so when they come over and they see him laying across the goal line, they give him the touchdown. It's unfortunate.
Mississippi State's next action, they'll host Kentucky right back here in Starkville, and that'll be an ESPN Thursday night game. And as of now, Mississippi State will head into that game undefeated. 7-0 for the first time, and 4-0 for the first time in SEC play. And LSU figures to spend another timeout.
Well, the players of the game, Clarence LeBlanc for LSU, all over the field with the tackles and, of course, the block punt for a touchdown, and certainly the special teams for Mississippi State stand out. The field position that Mississippi State has had throughout the game, Steve, I really think has been the decisive factor.
48 ticks remaining. Now look at LeBlanc.
6'3", 200-pounder. Excellent safety. He's someone that could play at the next level.
Sorry, Todd.
No, I was just going to say, Jackie Sherrill is telling him right now, just don't make a mistake. And the thing is, Steve, right here, I'd put in the other quarterback. He's already fumbled a snap, and of course he's got the problem with the finger. Why take any chances?
Yep.
Go with the other guy.
Matt Wyatt, the cool and calm senior. You're looking at him there. And he will stay on the sideline sporting the baseball cap. 48 ticks remaining. This is third down. And Mississippi State would appear to be 2 snaps away from going 7-0 for the first time ever to start a season. LSU going aggressively after Matkin, as you would expect.
Now, Steve, here at home, you're saying to yourself, hey, how did they miss that? How did they miss that? Here is your vantage point as the line judge. Now you make the call. Here's the handoff. Now watch as he disappears. Where is he? You don't see a thing. Now you have to sprint in. Your vantage point is terrible. Now you sprint in and say, okay, what's the deal? Everybody comes up, wants touchdown. You got 40,000 people screaming. That's what he sees. Here's the line judge. He comes in, he looks down here. He sees the ball over the goal line. You see all the arguments about the LSU people. What can he do? He just didn't see it.
Very difficult. LSU said if they could score 17 points, they would be in this football game. They get 16, and they were very much in this game.
Now, here's an interesting point here, Steve. They weren't able to use up the time. Now, why didn't he take the snap from center, run around a little bit, and use up the time? Because now Bootie's got a Hail Mary, and you never know. Why not run around, run around, run around, run around, and then fall down and run the clock out? Instead, now they've got a shot at it. Again, there's the gamesmanship. And every time he's been able to come over to the sidelines and talk with his head coach,
yep.
We've watched too many Hail Marys come through, Steve. You never know. You just don't want to give him one more opportunity.
Clock management. 4 seconds. Everybody dropping back deep in the coverage. Bootie's got an arm, and he'll show it off here. In the middle of the end zone, it is batted away and out of bounds, and that will do it. Mississippi State, they defeat LSU 17-16, snapping their 7-game losing streak to the Tigers, and Jackie Sherrill ups his record to 2-10 all-time against LSU. For Todd Christensen and Holly Rowe, this is Steve Levy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good night from Starkville. Now stay tuned. Here's Mark Jones and Mike Golick in Laramie, Wyoming, Colorado State and Wyoming.